Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Kellogg's Pep. P-E-P, Pep. Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal, presents
The Adventures of Superman. Today, Superman, in his search for the missing Lois Lane, finds himself confused and baffled by a mystery with frighteningly ominous overtones. The Adventures of Superman. When Editor Perry White assigned 3 consecutive out-of-town correspondents to cover what appeared to be a simple story of an unusual drought in Freeville, and 3 times his assignment was rejected with no explanation, he hit the ceiling. After listening briefly to his furious rantings, Lois Lane requested the assignment. Editor White refused, told her this was apparently a man's job, and ordered her to get hold of Kent, who was at that time visiting in the hospital with Jim Olsen. But ignoring his protests, the girl reporter dashed out of the office after saying,
"Have no fears, Chief. I'll find out what's cooking in Freeville and bring you back a bang-up story."
The following day, White received the first of a series of telegrams from Lois. This one, which he read with satisfaction, said,
"No rainfall here in 26 days. Extremely unusual situation for Freeville area at this time of year. Native farmers panicky. Reaction to drought from members of newly established veteran farm community is high. Facts should make sensational story. More later. Lois." Now we're getting someplace.
But a short while later the same day, 3 more telegrams arrived from Lois in rapid succession, each one more cryptic and disturbing than the other. As our story continues now, Clark Kent has just rushed into White's office in response to an urgent summons from the editor. Listen.
What's the matter, Chief? What's up?
I don't know, Kent. I don't know. Maybe you can tell me.
Well, give me some idea what's biting you, and maybe I can help straighten you out.
These telegrams from Lois. That's what's biting me.
Yeah, I noticed she wasn't in the office. Where is she?
In Freeville.
What's she doing there?
Covering a story, of course.
Well,
what else would she be doing there?
Wait a minute. Well, you don't have to snap my head off. I just asked...
I'm sorry, Kent. I'm sorry. I'm upset. I had a feeling I shouldn't let her go, but she talked me out of sending you.
She did, eh?
And dashed off before I could do anything to stop her. And now I'm afraid...
Well, wait a minute, Chief. Let's start from the beginning so I can have some idea what this is all about.
Well, it's these blasted telegrams she sent.
All right, forget them for the moment. What's going on in Freeville?
No, I wish I knew.
Well, what story did she go out there to cover?
Well, here's the story, Kent. A few days ago, I noticed a small item in our wire service reports about what appeared to be an unprecedented drought in the Freeville area.
Well, what's so sensational about that?
It's very unusual out there. Hasn't happened in heaven knows how many years, and particularly at this time of year.
I see.
And what makes it even more important is the new Veterans Farm Community Project that's just been established out there.
Oh?
Vets, just set up on farmland, facing ruin in their very first seasonal operation.
Oh, what a tough break.
Yes, it sure is. Well, I wanted a feature on that, so I assigned a correspondent near Freeville to cover it for us. And the next day, he turned the job down.
What?
That's not all. I gave the assignment successively to 2 other out-of-town correspondents. Each of them accepted, and then, within 24 hours, they turned it down.
But why?
I don't know why. But Lois was here when I received the 3rd turn down and hit the ceiling.
Where was I?
At the hospital, visiting with Jim.
Oh.
I told her to get you, but she took the bull by the horns and hightailed it out of here before I could stop her.
That's just like her.
Well, this morning I get a wire from her indicating that she's on the trail of a good yarn.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought everything was okay until a few hours after that, I was handed the first of these 3 wires, all of them arriving within 2 hours.
Let me see them.
Oh, here, see if you can make any sense out of them. There's the first one.
Sent out at 11:15 this morning. It's believed necessary to remain here longer than first anticipated. Lois, well, what's wrong with that?
Nothing, except I didn't want her to take time enough to write a book. All I wanted was a Sunday feature story.
No, but it takes time to collect facts.
Okay. I was willing to accept that until I read the second one.
Second one, that's the one wired at 12:10?
Yeah, that's right. Read it.
Awaiting orders to leave Freeville at once.
Now, what in blazes does that mean? First, she asks for more time, then she wants orders to leave.
This is confusing.
Well, that's an understatement. But if that baffles you, read the 3rd and last wire I've received so far. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Let's see. This one was dispatched at 1:10 this afternoon. It's an hour after the second one.
That's right.
It says, urgent and imperative, you wire me to return home at once. Great Scott.
Yeah, how do you like that, huh?
Well, I don't get it. It doesn't sound like Lois at all.
Certainly doesn't. And maybe the run-in she had with that Zara character affected her head.
No, Chief. It sounds mighty like there's something very fishy going on in Freeville. I think I better hop out there and see what's going on.
Now, you wait a minute, Kent.
But, Chief,
I'm not going to have my two best reporters out on one story that even Jim Collins could cover.
Jim Olsen, you mean?
Jimmy Olsen, yes, Olsen.
Well, what
did I
about
say,
Lois?
Collins?
Yes, you said Collins.
I'm so excited.
Well, what about Lois? She may be in
Well,
trouble.
she's a big girl and she can take care of herself. Besides, going out there was all her own idea, so she can work it out herself, and that's final.
Okay, you're the boss, but I can't help feeling a little worried about her.
Oh, forget it. Now get going on that Sunday feature story about phony steers and fortune tellers.
Chief, I just saw Beanie bringing you this telegram. It's important, so I took it from him and brought it in.
Say, maybe it's from Lois.
Well, it's date marked Freeville, but I don't think...
Yeah, let me have it.
All right, here. Now, don't get excited, Chief.
What do you mean? What's the to get excited about?
Well, you'll see.
Good Godfrey. Look what this says, Ken.
Yeah, I know.
You know.
Oh, I mean, I can guess.
No, you can't. Read it.
All right. Warn you to order Lois Lane out of Freeville immediately. Signed, a friend.
Great Caesar's ghost. Now, what in the world is going on in Freeville?
I don't know, Chief, but I don't like the sound of it.
Neither do I, but...
There's only one way to find out, and that's just what I'm going to do.
Now, wait, Kent, wait. Where are you
I'm going to zip out to Freeville. You'll hear from me later. So long.
Rushing from Perry White's office, Clark Kent dashes into an empty storeroom where, behind the locked door, he quickly strips down to the red and blue costume of Superman. A moment later, he opens a window. Up, and away! Zooming up into the sky, the Man of Steel takes a bearing from the sun, then streaks westward with the speed of light toward Freeville. At the same moment, Lois Lane, unaware of her friend's concern for her safety, is in the telegraph office in Freeville, where she is unsuccessfully trying to draw out the taciturn telegrapher, a stooped, elderly man with a white walrus mustache.
Now, look here, Mr. Sykes. I'm sure if you wanted to, you could tell me a lot of interesting things about what's happening here in Freeville. Couldn't you?
Don't know nothing.
Oh, that's what you've been saying for the past 10 minutes. But I could make it very much worth your while. I'm quite willing to pay for any information.
Don't know nothing.
Oh, well, I guess it's...
Excepting one thing.
Yes?
Eastbound express due to go through here about 3:45.
So what?
Good flagger down to stop for you.
No, thanks. I'm here to get a story, and I'm sticking until I get it.
Train's a streamliner. Get you back home fast.
Sorry, not interested.
You're making a mistake, miss.
Why? What's behind all the feeling that's so high in this town? Why does everyone refuse to talk? Why do they change the subject every time I mention the drought? In short, what's going on here?
Don't know nothing. Except tain't healthy here.
Why? Is there some fatal disease in Freeville?
Maybe.
Oh, rubbish.
Just the same, I warn you. Tain't healthy here. Especially for strangers. That's all I got to say.
Momentarily shaken by the aged telegrapher's ominous warning, Lois Lane stares at him open-mouthed. Then, turning on her heel, she strides out of his office and into the street. Will Superman arrive before Lois, disregarding the warning, walks into trouble? We'll know more in a moment when we return for the startling climax of today's story. So stand by. As our story continues, Superman has arrived in Freeville and, resuming the guise and garb of mild-mannered Clark Kent, talks with the desk clerk at the Central Hotel.
Could you tell me what room Lois Lane is in?
Why, she's, Lois Lane.
Yes, the Metropolis Daily Planet reporter.
Yes, Miss Lois Lane. Why, Miss Lane's not in her room. That is,
Yes?
Well, she left here.
Left?
That's right, sir, about 10 minutes ago.
You mean she checked out?
Excuse me, sir, I'm very...
But wait a minute. I wonder what's wrong with him.
Taxi, mister?
Well, that depends. Tell me, did you by any chance pick up a young lady from the Central Hotel?
Well, I don't know.
She's dark, rather pretty, and...
Oh, you mean that newspaper gal from Metropolis?
That's right.
Nope, said she'd rather walk this time.
I see. Any idea where she went?
Mentioned something about going down the telegraph office at the depot. Want me to take you there?
Yes, I would.
Right.
And make it snappy, please.
Yes, hang on.
Say you haven't seen Miss Lane, Mr. Sykes?
Not for over an hour.
Well, that's odd. The cab driver said she started walking over here about 10 minutes ago. Certainly she should have been here by this time.
Might have stopped somewheres on the way.
No, I'd have seen her.
How's that, mister?
Never mind. The point is she isn't here, nor any place between here and the hotel, and she couldn't have just vanished into thin air.
Could be.
Could be. Are you kidding?
Nope. Stranger things than that have happened in this town.
Well, great Scott, what in the world is going on here?
Completely baffled by the strange and mysterious attitudes of the Freeville natives, Clark Kent is stunned into momentary immobility. What is going on in Freeville? Why do the natives refuse to discuss the drought? And who is behind the mysterious telegrams suggesting that Lois Lane be recalled from her assignment? And what is even more important, has Superman arrived on the scene too late to keep the girl reporter from plunging into trouble? This is just the beginning of a new and thrilling story, gang, so stay with us. Be sure to tune in again tomorrow to learn of more startling angles uncovered by Superman. Don't forget, tomorrow join us again at this same time on this same station.
And remember, for breakfast, it's Kellogg's Pep.
For excitement, the adventures of Superman.
Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC comic magazines and is brought to you Monday through Friday at this same time by Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Kellogg's Pep. P-E-P, Pep. Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal, presents
The Adventures of Superman. Today, Superman is convinced more fully than ever that the mysterious goings-on in Freeville have much to do with Lois Lane's disappearance and the strangely tense attitude of the people in that area. And now, the adventures of Superman. When Lois Lane dashed over to cover what appeared to be a routine on-the-scene investigation for a story of an unusual drought in the Freeville area, she found herself with more than she had bargained for. And soon after arriving at Freeville, center of the newly established Veteran Farm Community Project, she was convinced that there was more going on than just an unusual dry spell. Meanwhile, in Metropolis, Editor Perry White and Clark Kent were worried about a series of 3 mysteriously cryptic telegrams seemingly sent by Lois. But then they became really alarmed at the receipt of a 4th message which said,
"Warn you, order Lois Lane to quit Freeville at once, or suffer consequences. Signed, a friend."
Assuming his identity of Superman, Clark Kent rocketed out to Freeville, where he discovered that Lois was last seen going toward the telegraph office. Again in his guise of the mild-mannered reporter, Kent questioned Abner Sykes, the aged telegrapher, who said,
Sorry. Ain't seen Miss Lane for over an hour.
No one seems to have seen her after she left the hotel on her way here. Doesn't that seem odd?
Nope.
What do you mean? She couldn't have vanished.
Could be.
Could be. Are you kidding?
Nope. All kinds of strange things happen in this town.
Now, look here, Mr. Sykes. Just what do you mean by that?
Nothing, maybe. Sometimes I just talk too much.
Well, this is one time you're not talking enough. I've got a hunch Miss Lane's in some kind of trouble, possibly something that even endangers her life.
Maybe.
Well, then, if you know something I should know to help her, for the love of heaven, tell me what it is.
Don't know nothing, I told you.
You're just not talking, you mean?
Healthier that way.
Look, what's going on here in Freeville? What's everyone so frightened of?
Don't know, mister.
Okay, we'll skip that for a minute. Just tell me this. Who sent the telegrams, signed Lois Lane, asking Perry White of the Metropolis Daily Planet to order her home?
Who signed them?
They were signed Lois Lane,
And
all right,
she
but...
must have sent them.
Not on your life. That's not like Lois, so someone else must have done it. Now think, who else sent wires to Perry White at the Daily Planet in Metropolis?
Don't know. Send lots of messages. Can't expect to remember all of them.
Especially when it's more convenient to forget, huh? I don't suppose you'd remember who sent the wire warning Perry White to take Miss Lane out of Freeville and signed it a friend, would you?
Was a friend, maybe.
Like who, for instance?
Me.
You sent that telegram?
Yep.
Why?
She wouldn't pay no attention to my warning to get out of Freeville.
Well, why did you want her to leave?
Liked her. That's why.
Oh.
Didn't want to see her get mixed up with...
With what?
Don't know what exactly.
Oh, what's going on, Mr. Sykes? Who'd want to harm Miss Lane?
Don't know.
Oh, this is driving me batty and getting me nowhere fast. Look, isn't there someone else in this crazy town I could talk to and get better sense out of?
Might try Fred Leonard.
Who's he?
Fred runs the Freeville Gazette.
The Gazette, of course. I should have thought of that myself. A newspaper man will certainly want to help.
Fred's more than a newspaper man, mister.
Huh? What do you mean?
Nothing. Sometimes I just talk too much.
Oh, this is where I came in. Look, where can I find Fred Leonard now?
At the Gazette office. 2 blocks north, turn left.
Okay, Mr. Sykes, and thanks for nothing. That's the whole story so far, Mr. Leonard, and frankly, I'm worried.
Well, I wouldn't worry too much if I were you, Mr. Kent.
How can I help it when Miss Lane seems to have disappeared and I can't seem to find out how or why or
We'll
when?
find her, never you fear. After all, Freeville's not big enough to get lost in, you know.
The point is, I don't think she's simply lost.
Now, really, Mr. Kent, what else could have happened to her?
I don't know, but I have a feeling it's something pretty serious.
Oh? Why do you say that?
Because there's something mighty peculiar going on here in Freeville. People look frightened. They act furtive. They refuse to talk.
Well, that's only because we're all worried about the drought, I guess.
Well, maybe.
After all, I'm sure you can appreciate the importance of rain in a farm community such as ours.
Certainly I can, but...
Well, then?
But I feel there's something that goes deeper than that. A peculiar unrest, a tension among the veterans who've been settled on the government farm project.
Oh, come now, Mr. Kent. Aren't you just exercising a vivid, creative imagination?
Thanks for the compliment, Mr. Leonard. But I can't help wondering why that telegrapher, old Abner Sykes, wanted Lois to leave Freeville so badly that he resorted to sending us warning telegrams.
Well, to understand that, you ought to know more about poor old Abner.
Like what?
Well, I don't like to say this, Mr. Kent. Matter of fact, I don't know how to tell you, but,
Yes?
Well, old Abner's a very lovable and harmless man who's been the telegrapher in this town for nearly 40 years.
Afraid I don't follow you.
It's just that, well, he sort of has a reputation around town for what's politely referred to as, imagining things, you see?
Oh?
Yes. And so, if I were you, I wouldn't put much stock in what the old man says.
But he hasn't imagined Miss Lane's disappearance. That must be prima facie even to you.
By George! Why didn't I think of this before?
Think of what?
My one and only roving reporter, Steve Larson, always knows the whereabouts of everyone in town, natives as well as strangers. Now, I bet if I locate him, he'd give us a line on Miss Lane that would remove all the mystery of her so-called disappearance.
Where can you reach him?
Well, let's see. Chances are he's at the... hello, Madge. Look, see if you can locate Steve Larson for me, will you? Try the Hotel Central. Yeah, I'll hang on. 2 to 1, your troubles are over right now, Kent.
I certainly hope so, at least where Miss Lane's concerned.
What else have you got to worry about?
I still want to get at the bottom of this drought situation here.
Nothing to it, just a quirk of hello, that you, Steve? Mr. Clark Kent of the Metropolis Daily Planet's over here at the office. He's trying to locate that other Planet reporter, Lois Lane, who's... Yeah, that's the one. See you this afternoon any time? That's so. When? Uh-huh. Okay, Steve, thanks. Got anything new to report? I see. No need to come in yet. Okay, so long.
Well, did he have
Well, your troubles are over, Mr. Kent. And like I told you, there was nothing to worry about.
Larson knows where Lois is?
Yeah, she's on the eastbound Limited en route to Metropolis.
What?
Uh-huh. Had it flagged for a stop and got on board at 3:45 this afternoon. Satisfied?
No, not quite.
But look here.
There's still something fishy going on.
Why?
Because Lois Lane would never leave until she got her story.
She did get her story, Kent.
What do you mean?
She found out there's no story here except that we're suffering an unprecedented drought, so she packed up and left.
No, Mr. Leonard, I won't buy that. Because Lois would know as surely as I do that there's something more than that going on in Freeville.
Are you insinuating
Please
that...
don't misunderstand. I'm insinuating nothing. Now, you say she boarded the train at 3:45?
That's right.
Well, it's 4:10 now. I'd better hurry.
Hey, wait, where are you going?
To see if Lois Lane is on that train.
But how are you going to do that?
You'd be surprised. So long. I'll see you again, soon.
Leaving the Freeville Gazette's editor, Clark Kent ducks around behind the one-story newspaper building. There, out of sight, he changes swiftly to the colorful garb of Superman. And a moment later, he leaps into the air.
Up, and away!
Streaking to the railroad station, the man of steel veers sharply. Then, following the gleaming double ribbon of steel rails, rockets eastward in pursuit of the flyer. Will he find Lois Lane aboard? We'll know more in a moment when we return for the exciting climax of today's story. So stand by. A moment ago, Clark Kent was informed by Fred Leonard, editor and publisher of the Freeville Gazette, that Lois Lane boarded the eastbound flyer for Metropolis at 3:45. Now, 30 minutes later, as Superman, he has overtaken the fast express train, and hovering over it, his X-ray vision pierces each passenger car as he searches for the girl reporter.
Don't see Lois anywhere on this train. Just to give Leonard the benefit of any doubt, I'll double-check by asking the conductor. Down to the observation platform. Down! You're sure you have no Lois Lane on this train, conductor?
I have no one by that name, but a young lady did get aboard at Freeville.
Oh?
Only one, too. Had us flagged to stop for her.
I see. Well, could you help me locate her?
Why, yeah, sure. She went right into the diner. Chances are she's still there. Come on, follow me. There she is, young fella. Lady with a green hat, third table on your right.
I see.
That the gal you're looking for?
No, that's not Lois Lane.
Sorry. Your friend just isn't on this train, I guess.
Not really surprised, but momentarily shocked nonetheless. Clark Kent realizes more fully than ever now that the mysterious goings-on in Freeville are responsible for Lois Lane's disappearance. And for the moment, even Superman feels helpless to find her. What has happened to the girl reporter? And what is behind the mystery that hangs like a heavy pall over Freeville? Tomorrow's episode is tense with drama and excitement, so don't miss a minute of it. Be sure to tune in again tomorrow. Same time, same station.
And remember, for breakfast, it's Kellogg's Pep.
For excitement, the adventures of Superman.
Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC comic magazines and is brought to you Monday through Friday at this same time by Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Kellogg's Pep. P-E-P, Pep. Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal, presents
The Adventures of Superman. Today, Clark Kent, anxious and worried about the mystery of Lois Lane's whereabouts, traces a last uncertain possibility on a tip from the Freeville Gazette's editor. And now, the adventures of Superman. After 3 local correspondents had mysteriously refused to cover what appeared to be a routine story of a dry spell in the Freeville area, Lois Lane, reporter for the Metropolis Daily Planet, flew to the scene. The next day, a telegram signed "A Friend," urging Editor White to order Lois home, sent Clark Kent as Superman streaking 2,000 miles to Freeville, where he discovered that Lois had disappeared. Old Abner Sykes, the local telegrapher, admitted sending the telegram, but refused to say any more. He denied knowing what had happened to the girl reporter, but suggested that Kent call on Fred Leonard, publisher and editor of the local newspaper. Leonard made a phone call, then told Kent that Lois was on a train bound for Metropolis. As Superman, Kent overtook the train, but Lois was not aboard. As we continue now, he has rocketed back to Freeville, where, once more in the guise and garb of Clark Kent, he faces Fred Leonard in the latter's office. Listen.
Give me a bum steer, Mr. Leonard.
What do you mean?
Miss Lane isn't on the eastbound flyer.
She isn't.
Nope. What's more, she was not on it when it left Freeville this afternoon.
But she must have been, Mr. Kent.
I tell you, she wasn't and isn't. I just left the conductor of the train, and he told me...
You just left the conductor?
What?
What are you talking about?
I just talked to him. He
How
said...
could you talk to him? The flyer left here at 3:45.
I know, but...
Must be more than 50 miles away
Well,
by
never
now.
mind how I managed. The point is I talked to him. And he assures me that Miss Lane did not board the train in Freeville. Now, why did you tell me she did?
Why, because Steve Larson, my reporter, he told me so.
He did, eh?
Yes, you were right here when I called him a few minutes before. You heard me
He
ask.
told you Miss Lane was on the eastbound flyer?
That's right. I can't understand this. Steve usually knows what he's talking about.
I don't understand it either yet, but I will before I leave here. Any idea where Steve Larson is now, Mr. Leonard?
Why, let's see. It's just 4:30. He usually drops into the lunch wagon about this time.
Lunch wagon? Where's that?
Oh, just down the street. Most of us drop in there for coffee and a little gossip along about this time. Come on, I'll go over there with you.
Fine. Let's go, Mr. Leonard. Larson?
Just call me Steve. Everybody does.
Okay, Steve. What made you say Miss Lane left here on the flyer?
Because she did.
Now, wait a minute. That's not true.
What?
You see, Steve, Kent talked to the conductor on the flyer by radio telephone, I guess. And the conductor said Miss Lane didn't board the train here in Freeville.
Oh, that's funny. She told me herself she was taking that train out of here at 3:45.
Miss Lane told you that?
Sure, on the phone.
When was this?
Let's see. Must have been around 3:30 this afternoon.
How did you happen to contact her?
Well, I went over to the hotel around noon when I heard she was in town because, well, Fred and I thought an interview with a big city reporter might make a nice little story. Right, Fred?
Right.
Did you talk with her then?
Oh, Miss Lane wasn't there, so I left a message asking her to call me when she got in. She called about 3:30. Said she was sorry she couldn't see me, but she just about had time to catch 3:45.
That's about the time the flyer goes through here, Kent.
Uh-huh. Go on, Steve.
Oh, that's all. Fred here called me up a little while ago and said you were looking for Miss Lane. I said to tell you she was on the train on account of that's what she told me.
That's
It
strange.
sure is.
Look, Kent, you sure she isn't on that train?
Positive. Are you sure it was Miss Lane you spoke to?
Well, the girl I talked to said she was Miss Lane. Of course, never talked to her before.
Then it may not have been Lois.
Who else could it be?
Well, exactly. What are you driving at, Kent?
Simply that someone else may have called Steve and said she was Miss Lane in order to confuse us in the time of her disappearance.
Disappearance, you mean?
Yeah, Miss Lane seems to have disappeared, Steve.
And this little bird? Go on. She didn't board the flyer at 3:45 today. She must be around town someplace.
No, she's not in Freeville. What's more, she isn't anywhere within 25 miles of Freeman.
What?
How do you know that, Kent?
Just take my word
But
for
how
it. I-
can you know? You've only been here an hour or so.
Look, Mr. Leonard, all I can tell you is I know what I'm talking about.
These big city reporters must carry a set of wings, eh, Fred?
Sure
Look,
must.
gentlemen, let's not waste time making jokes. Who represents the law in this town?
Well, Sheriff Cleary, but he's over to the state capitol this weekend.
Uh-oh. Well, then we'll have to get along without him. Will you two help me find Miss Lane?
You bet.
Anything we can do for a fellow newspaper man, Kent?
Thanks. Well, this is the premise I'm working on. There's something very strange going on around here, and I think Miss Lane's disappearance is tied up with it.
Something strange.
What do you mean?
Before Miss Lane came here, 3 local correspondents turned down a simple assignment to cover the drought you're suffering here. Now, I
They
think
did,
that Miss...
eh?
Yes.
You
and
say
I-
3 correspondents turned down that assignment.
That's right. Do you know anything about that?
Not a thing. It's a funny one, isn't it, Fred?
It sure is. But it gives me an idea.
What's that?
Miss Lane might have stumbled onto another story out here.
Another story?
Yep. And if she did, it might account for her disappearance.
Uh-oh. Look, Mr. Leonard, if you know anything...
I know quite a bit, Kent. But I don't want to talk about it here. Too many people around.
Oh?
I'll tell you what. Back to my office with me. I might be able to help you find Miss Lane. See you later, Steve.
Right.
All right, Mr. Leonard, suppose you tell me everything you know that might help us find Miss Lane.
Okay, Kent. You're telling me about those 3 correspondents who turned down the assignment gave me an idea. And here it is.
What?
I suppose you've heard of the Veterans Farm Project in this county, haven't you?
You mean the veteran homesteaders?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
300 war veterans drawn by lot were given anywhere from 60 to 150 acres of reclaimed land in this county.
Yes, I've heard of that, and it's a fine thing, but what's it got to do with Miss Lane?
Just this. We've been having a little trouble with those veterans, Kent. At least with some of them.
Really? What kind of trouble?
Well, we've been having a bit of a dry spell, as you know. Except for a little piddling sprinkle now and then, we haven't had any rain for 30 days now.
I know, but
Now,
what's...
please let me finish.
I'm sorry.
Now, if this drought keeps up much longer, the veterans' first crops will die in the ground. And that means most of the veterans will be ruined, even before they ever get a chance to get started.
That would be a shame, and I don't want you to think I'm unsympathetic, Mr. Leonard, but my first problem is to find Miss Lane.
I'm
She's
getting
missing.
to Miss Lane. But I've got to give you the rest of this first, much as I hate to.
I'm sorry.
Incidentally, I'm telling you this in strict confidence, Kent.
I'll respect your confidence. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, as I said, most of these homesteading veterans are facing ruin. And, well, some of them, the hotter heads among them, haven't been able to take it.
What do you mean?
Well, to put it frankly, and mind you, this isn't confidence, Kent.
I understand.
These, hotheads, we'll say, have been pillaging and robbing the native farmers and businessmen of the community.
What?
That's right. Farm equipment and livestock have been stolen. Village stores have been broken and entered. There've even been 2 cases where a farmer and a storekeeper in Freeville were badly beaten when they attempted to protect their property.
Great Scott, you mean to say the men who committed these acts are veterans?
I sure hate to say so,
Well, are you
Kent,
sure they are?
Practically certain. Now, we've tried to ignore it.
Ignore it?
Yes, because we know what the veterans are up against. And a lot of us around here had boys in the war, too. We know what they went through and that the war, well, upset their nerves temporarily. So we've just tried to sit tight, realizing their futures are at stake in their respective farms, and hoping the rains would come and make everything all right.
I see.
I've even played these acts down in my paper, saying the culprits couldn't be identified, although we're pretty sure who they are.
Well, it's very decent of you, Mr. Leonard, and I'll want to talk to you some more about it, but again, I ask just what has all this to do with the disappearance of Miss Lane?
You mean you don't see, Kent?
No, frankly, I don't.
Why, it's as plain as the nose on your face. First, 3 correspondents refused to cover the story of the drought for your paper.
Well, yes,
and
but...
then Miss Lane, who's probably got more spunk than those other correspondents, comes on here and she disappears. Now do you get it?
Puzzled, Clark Kent shakes his head. What does Fred Leonard mean? We'll return in a moment to find out, so stand by. A moment ago in the small editorial office of the Freeville Gazette, Fred Leonard, editor, told Kent that Lois's disappearance is tied up with the deep unrest among local veteran homesteaders. Puzzled, Kent shakes his head and says, Maybe I'm stupid, Mr. Leonard, but I don't get it.
You don't?
No, I can't see how trouble in the Veterans Farm project can have anything to do with our correspondence quitting and Miss Lane's disappearance.
Now, look. If a big newspaper like the Metropolis Daily Planet published the stories of what's going on down here, how long do you think it'd take the Veterans Administration and Congress to take steps against our vet homesteaders?
Oh, I think I get it now.
Well, sure. They'd probably take their land away from them.
Of course, and you think Miss Lane learned about what was going on here and is being held by the veterans to prevent her from wiring the stories to the Daily Planet.
Well, I certainly hate to think so.
But you do think so.
Well, yes.
Oh, I can't believe it. I read about this project and about the one in Oregon, and I understand the veterans are very carefully screened before they can apply for homesteads. They must have excellent characters and reputations. And
that's true. But hungry and desperate men, particularly those who've been through a war, Kent, can easily be driven to do desperate things.
Yes, I see what you mean. And if you're right, Miss Lane is in serious danger because she won't back down under threats. She'll defy them. I've got to get right out to the Veterans Project.
Now, wait, Kent. I'll drive you out there.
Good. Let's go. Rushing out of the one-story Freeville Gazette building, Clark Kent steps into the country editor's car and is on his way to the Veterans Farm Project area. The first step in what he hopes will be a successful search for Lois Lane. But the situation is not as simple as Fred Leonard would have Kent believe, and complications are now in motion that will make things difficult even for Superman. There's a startling surprise in tomorrow's exciting episode, so don't miss it. Yes, be sure to tune in again tomorrow. Same time, same station.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Kellogg's Pep. P-E-P, Pep. Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal, presents
The Adventures of Superman. Today, though Superman despairingly faces a blank wall in his search for Lois Lane, he is little prepared for the shock dealt by the girl reporter herself. Now, the adventures of Superman. When 3 correspondents mysteriously refused to cover a simple story of a drought in the Freeville area, Lois Lane, reporter for the Metropolis Daily Planet, flew to the scene and disappeared. As Superman, Clark Kent streaked 2,000 miles to Freeville, where Fred Leonard, editor and publisher of the little local paper, told him of homesteading war veterans who, facing ruin because of the drought, were committing acts of burglary and vandalism. Leonard hinted that Lois might have stumbled onto these stories and been seized by the veterans in order to prevent her from reporting them to the Daily Planet. As we continue now, Kent and Leonard have arrived at one of the veteran farm projects 20 miles from Freeville. They're approaching a husky, black-haired young man who is feeding a flock of chickens. Listen.
That fellow feeding the chickens is Jerry Barton. He was an Air Force captain during the war, and he's now the head of the veterans post out here, Kent.
He's the man I want to see, Mr. Leonard. These fellows are responsible for Miss Lane's disappearance, as you think.
Hold it. Hello, Barton.
What do you want, Leonard?
Barton, I want you to meet Clark Kent. He's a reporter for the Metropolis Daily Planet.
How do you do?
You a friend of this so-called newspaper editor, Mr. Kent?
Why,
Yes, of course he is.
Then excuse me for not shaking hands. Any friend of Fred Leonard's is no friend of mine, so state your business and then get off of my land.
That's being painfully blunt.
Those are my sentiments. People around here will get just as much hospitality as they showed me and the other veterans on this project when we first came here. And that was just exactly zero. So I'm telling you again, state your business
Now, look,
and then...
you've got the wrong idea about the people of Freeville, Barton. We've done everything we could to help you and make you welcome.
Are you kidding?
Now, wait a minute.
No, I'm absolutely sincere. I know that this drought and what this drought means to you fellas, but it isn't our fault, you know.
I wouldn't even swear to that.
Be careful, Barton.
Now, listen, please, both of you.
I'm not afraid of you, Leonard. And I'm not what you and your dirty gang call a foreigner. So I can tell you exactly what I think. Which is what I aim to do right now.
Please, Mr. Barton, let's try to keep
You stay out of this, Kent.
Well, look here, I want to find
I've been waiting for a chance to tell Mr. Editor Man here just what I think of him. And nobody's going to stop me now.
I warned you, Barton. Don't say anything you'll be sorry for.
Don't worry, mister. Nobody could say anything he'd be sorry for to a polecat like you.
Why, you...
Easy,
I
Mr.
said
Leonard.
polecat, and I mean it. Who else would try to keep a bunch of veterans, men who'd fought for their country and for you, from settling down on the land here and trying to make a living?
I didn't try to stop you. I simply pointed out in my paper...
And to the legislature.
Yes, and to the legislature, too, that this land wasn't suitable for intensive farming.
That's a lot of baloney, and you know it.
Look, if you fellas don't stop this, I'm
Now,
gonna...
wait, Kent.
Everyone knows this is reclaimed land and some of the best in the country. But we know that you and the Honorable Uncle Ed Clayton didn't want us here. Because you knew you couldn't bully us or honeysuckle us into voting the way you want us to. And particularly at this time because there's a special election coming up for senator.
What's that?
That's a lie.
And you didn't want us here because some of my buddies part their hair different from you natives. Some of us go to a different church. Or our skin happens to be a different color.
That's
so
a
you...
serious accusation,
Yes,
Mr.
and
Barton.
what's more, it's not true.
The heck it isn't. What's more, you and your boss, the Honorable Uncle Ed, have got the backwoods natives sold in the poisonous belief that anyone who goes to a different church or whose skin is a different color is a foreigner. And so he's an enemy.
I say that's a lie, and I
Wait
say
a minute,
that...
Mr. Leonard. Wait a minute. Calm down, both of you, and be sensible. You know this kind of argument never gets you anywhere.
Kent, I think we'd better be going. It's obvious we won't get anywhere with this man.
Just a moment. I came out here for a reason, and I don't intend to lose any more time. Barton?
Yes?
A fellow reporter for the Daily Planet, a girl named Lois Lane, disappeared in Freeville a few hours ago.
Disappeared?
That's right. You know anything about it?
Me? Shucks, no. Why should I?
Well, let's put it this way. I've heard of certain acts of vandalism committed by the veterans on this project.
Oh, now I get it.
And it's occurred to me that if a big paper like the Daily Planet published the stories, it might make things rather, uncomfortable for you fellows. It could even mean the end of your homestead rights, you know.
Go on, Mr. Kent. What are you driving at?
Just this, Barton. If Miss Lane ran across those stories and prepared to publish them, some veterans might just see fit to try to prevent her.
Why, of all the... Look, did Fred Leonard here put that idea in your head?
Well...
Don't try to get out of it. I know he did. I've heard these stories going around about fellas from this project stealing and pillaging and all that rot.
Is it rot, Barton?
It is, and you know it's rot. If it wasn't, why didn't you have the sheriff arrest the men you accused?
Well, because we realized how hard-pressed you chaps were, and that the culprits were, just hotheads.
You mean foreigners, don't you?
I said hotheads. We didn't want to condemn all of you because a few irresponsible...
Oh, go on. You would have jumped at a chance to arrest one of us, but you knew we were innocent. This is just another plan of yours to discredit us. This time, by George, you've gone too far.
Now,
Easy,
you look
Barton.
here, Barton. I've had enough of this.
Come on, Mr. Leonard, let's go. So, Barton, I'll be back to see you later after I've found Miss Lane. I want to talk with you.
I'm really sorry for what happened, Kent.
Forget it.
Never should have lost my temper with that poor chap. After all, the drought is ruining him, so naturally his nerves are affected. But I assure you, he doesn't know what he's saying.
On the contrary, I thought he was well aware of what he was saying.
No, look here, Kent. You don't mean you believe all that balderdash about me and Uncle Ed Clayton?
Well, never mind that now, or Uncle Ed either. I've got to find Miss Lane.
Oh, of course. But I'm afraid you won't be able to get Barton's cooperation, the state he's in. Poor
I don't need his cooperation at the moment. Look, Mr. Leonard, you drive your car down the road a mile or so, will you, and wait for me? There's something I want to do alone.
Oh, what's that, may I ask?
Oh, nothing much. It's just a little idea I want to work out.
Oh, very well, Kent. I'll be waiting for you.
Leaving Fred Leonard, Clark Kent walks across the road, enters a patch of woods where he swiftly resumes his true identity of Superman. Then, up,
and away!
Leaping up from the woods, Superman hovers first over Jerry Barton's farm, his keen eyes searching every inch of terrain and buildings below him. Then, failing to see any sign of Lois Lane, he streaks away, ranging in great sweeps and circles above the other farms of the homesteading war veterans. Dry, sun-parched acres now, on which haggard-faced men stand with faces upturned to the skies from which no rain descends. Finally, admitting defeat, Superman rockets back to the patch of woods, resumes his guise and garb of Clark Kent, and rejoins the waiting Fred Leonard in his car.
Okay, Mr. Leonard, let's go.
Right. How'd your idea work out?
Oh, fair enough.
Good. You want to start searching the veterans' farms, Kent?
No, thanks. I've already done that.
You what?
Oh, I'm quite sure Miss Lane isn't anywhere around here.
Oh, how can you be sure? I think
Skip it, will you? Let's get back to town if you don't mind, please.
Oh, whatever you say.
Thanks. Want to have another talk with that telegrapher, Abner Sykes.
You're wasting your time, Kent. I told you about old Abner. He's a fine old chap, but, he always thinks people are in danger around here. Why,
Maybe you're right.
What'd you say, Kent?
Oh, nothing, Mr. Leonard. Just drop me at the telegraph office, if you will.
Well, if you insist. But I still say you're wasting your time.
Now, listen, Mr. Sykes. I intend to stay here until I find Miss Lane.
You won't find her, young feller.
But I must. I can't just ignore the
Take
fact
my
that
advice. Grab the next train back to Metropolis.
Ridiculous. There must be some way of
Better
finding
still, drive over to Rollins and board the eastbound plane. Get you away faster.
Nothing doing, Mr. Sykes. As I said before, I'm not leaving here until I find Miss Lane. And then not until I find out what's going on around here.
Well, maybe this will change your mind.
What's that?
Telegram just coming in for you. No use to paste it up. Read it on the tape.
Let's see. Uh-oh. Get out of Freeville at once, before it's too late. Signed, a friend.
You see what I mean?
Shocked and puzzled, Clark Kent stares at the words on the telegraph tape. The same threatening words used to warn Lois Lane to leave Freeville before she disappeared. What will happen now? We'll be back in a moment for the startling climax of today's episode. So stand by. In the little telegraph office operated by Abner Sykes in Freeville, Clark Kent has just received a telegram warning him to leave town at once. The aged telegrapher shakes his head and mutters,
See what I mean, Mr. Kent?
Yes.
Now will you go back to Metropolis?
Certainly not. Let's see, this telegram was sent from Rawlings. Where's that?
About 30 miles south.
30 miles south. Well, that's where I'm going, because whoever sent this telegram probably knows where Miss Lane is and...
But gee, Jerusalem! Look who's coming in.
Great Scott! Lois! Lois, what's the matter?
Quick, catch her, Mr. Kent. She's keeling over.
Startled, Clark Kent springs forward as Lois Lane, her face white, her eyes set in a glassy stare, moans, falls into his arms, unconscious. What has happened to the girl reporter? What is the answer to the strange goings-on in the sun-parched, drought-afflicted area of Freeville? Monday's episode is tense and exciting, gang, so don't miss a minute of it. Be sure to tune in again Monday. Same time, same station.
And remember, for breakfast, it's Kellogg's Pep.
For excitement, the adventures of Superman.
Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC comic magazines and is brought to you Monday through Friday at the same time by Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Kellogg's Pep. P-E-P, Pep. Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal presents
The Adventures of Superman. Today, Clark Kent and Lois Lane determined to fight the unknown dangerous elements that thwart their progress, little realizing the dire menace hanging over anyone who helps them. And now, the Adventures of Superman. While covering a routine story of a drought in the farming area of Freeville, Lois Lane, reporter for the Metropolis Daily Planet, mysteriously disappeared. Fred Leonard, editor and publisher of the little local paper, told Clark Kent that a group of war veterans who had taken homesteads nearby and who were facing ruin because of the drought had been robbing and pillaging. And Leonard hinted that the veterans might have seized Lois to prevent her from wiring the stories of their vandalism to the Daily Planet. As Superman, Kent searched the farms of the veterans and, finding nothing, returned to Freeville, where he questioned Abner Sykes, the elderly telegrapher, whom he suspected of knowing more than he would admit. As they were talking, the door of the little telegraph office opened, and Lois staggered in, falling in a dead faint in Kent's arms. As we continue now, Kent has placed her on a chair and, with Abner Sykes, is trying to revive the girl reporter. Listen.
Lois. Rub her hands, Mr. Sykes.
I'm rubbing them.
Doesn't seem to have been injured. She must have suffered some shock.
Told her to go back to Metropolis.
Lois, talk to me.
Told you to go, too.
Oh, stop that nonsense.
Ain't
Lois.
nonsense. You'll be sorry.
Doesn't seem to be coming around. Where's the nearest doctor, Mr. Sykes?
Doc Bedlow. Office over the bank.
Well, get him on the phone, please. Tell him to rush right over here.
Okay.
No, wait a minute. Maybe... Yes, I think she's coming, too.
Oh, good.
Quick, get me a glass of water, please.
Already got it. On the bench in your hand there.
Oh, yes, thanks.
Clark.
Easy, Lois. Wait a minute now. Drink this.
Oh, Clark.
Come on. Don't try to talk yet. Drink this water. That's it. Wait a minute. Hold your head up. Come on now. Drink all of it. Come on, drink some more. That's the girl. Feel better now?
Yes.
Easy now. Now, wait a minute. Don't try to talk yet. Just rest a moment.
No, I'm all right. I was just exhausted. I must have run about 2 miles.
Ran 2 miles?
Yes.
Now,
You see,
wait a minute. Wait a minute. If you have to talk, suppose you start at the beginning and tell me everything that happened.
well, nothing happened until this afternoon. I just went around Freeville asking questions about the drought, and nobody would answer me. All they did was look scared.
Yes, I know. I had the same experience.
I couldn't understand it. So this afternoon I started down here to see Mr. Sykes again. I had a feeling he knew a lot more than he was telling.
Don't know nothing.
You mean you're not talking? We'll let that pass for the moment. Go on, Lois.
Well, I started to walk down from the hotel. It's just a couple of blocks from here, you know.
I know.
And I was going past a broken-down old building.
Granary it was. Ain't used now, though. Pete Simpkins built a new one other end of town.
I see. Well, whatever it was, I was going past it when somebody called my name.
Miss Lane.
So I stopped and looked around, but I didn't see anybody. And then this voice called me again.
Miss Lane.
This time I realized the voice came from the old granary. So without thinking, I just stepped toward the open door, and then somebody grabbed me.
Carter. Get that sack over her head.
Okay. Stop fighting, sister.
Do you no good.
There. That does it. Now, inside with her.
There was chloroform soaked into that sack over my head, and soon I felt myself losing consciousness. I don't know how long I was out, but when I woke up, I was sitting on the ground in some cold, damp, musty place. It was kind of eerie, almost pitch black, except for a candle set quite a way back on the ground. 2 men stood between me and the candle, but it was too dark to see their faces. And the small, flickering light threw weird shadows on the walls and made them seem enormous. I asked them who they were and what the meaning of this was.
Never mind who we are, Miss Lane. All we gotta say is that you're a lucky girl.
Lucky? What do you mean?
You're lucky you're not dead.
Look, what's the meaning of all this?
We don't like reporters in Freeville, that's all.
Especially reporters from out of town.
Why not? What have I done to you?
Nothing. We just don't like reporters.
Oh, stop playing mysterious. Just what is going on around here? Why does everybody seem so
Don't
scared?
waste your breath asking questions, Miss Lane.
Besides, asking questions ain't healthy around here.
But why? What's behind all this?
Ain't nothing to concern you. Now, the eastbound limited goes through Freeville at midnight. You get on it and don't come back.
Now, look here. You can't
You
tell...
heard me. Get out of Freeville on the limited tonight and stay out. Understand?
And suppose I refuse?
That'll be the last you'll ever refuse in this world, Miss Lane. Because I warn you, if you're still in town by morning, you won't be breathing. Now get up on your feet.
And that's the whole story, Clark. Except that after that, they put the sack over my head again, and they made me climb up a tall ladder.
A ladder?
Yes, it seemed as if I climbed and climbed until suddenly the air got clearer.
Say, must have been the old lead mine they took you to.
A lead mine?
Come to think of it, it did feel as if we were in a mine shaft.
That's
Mr.
where
Sykes.
you were, all right.
Lead, the one substance I can't see.
The old
through.
Brewster
That's
mine.
right.
What did you say?
How's that?
Nothing, Mr. Sykes, nothing, Lois. Finish your story. How did you get back here?
Oh, well, the men put me back in the car and drove a few minutes, and then they took me out and spun me around and around until I was so dizzy. Then I heard them drive off. But by the time I stopped reeling and got the sack off my head, they were out of sight.
Of course.
I could see the lights of a town in the distance, and I started running toward it. Well, it turned out to be Freeville. But I was pretty winded by the time I got here, and
That's
so...
why you fainted.
That's right.
Poor kid, you had a rough time. Listen, Lois, did you get a look at the men at all? I mean, enough to identify them?
No, I didn't, Clark. You see, they threw the sack over my head right away.
And in the mine, it was too dark, I guess.
That's right. Look, Clark, why do you suppose they don't want reporters around? What is going on in Freeville?
Ellie, I don't know exactly, but I do know this much. There's a lot of bad feeling out here against the war veterans on the Homestead Farm project.
The war?
It's created an equal amount of bad feeling on the part of the veterans.
How do you mean?
Well, people have accused the veterans of pillaging and burglary and other acts of vandalism.
What?
And the veterans say that's a lie and accuse the political leaders of trying to discredit them and so get rid of them.
I see. Well, why would anyone want to discredit the war veterans?
According to Jerry Barton, head of the veterans post on the project, the politicians feel the veterans are a threat to their rule out here. Also, Jerry says they object to the fact that some of the veterans go to a different church or have a different colored skin from most of the natives out here.
Why, what difference does that make? They're all Americans, aren't they?
Well,
They all
sure.
fought for their country, and all Americans are entitled to equal rights.
That's right, but unfortunately, some people don't think so, Lois.
Well, then they're bigots. They're un-American.
Wait a minute now, take it easy.
Well, I never heard
So
of-
far, we have only Jerry Barton's word on all this, but we're going to find out.
Well, Mr. Sykes here will know. What about it, Mr. Sykes? Do you think our veterans are being pushed around and persecuted?
7 o'clock local be in pretty soon, Miss Lane.
Oh, now,
Better
look,
take it.
Oh, don't change the subject. I
Remember
asked
what
you
them
something.
fellers told you at the
I
mine?
don't care what they told me. They can't scare me, and neither can you.
Look, Lois, maybe Mr. Sykes is right. Maybe you should go back to Metropolis. I'll stay here.
Yes, you'll stay here and scoop me on a big story.
Oh, now, don't be ridiculous.
Well,
Something far more important than a mere story going on here. Your life's in danger. You've already been threatened.
So have you, mister. That telegram, remember?
Oh, that.
What telegram?
No, it's nothing, Lois. Just a telegram some crackpot sent me suggesting that I leave town. But I still think
Save
that you...
your breath, Clark. This sounds like big stuff to me, and I'm seeing it through with you.
Yeah, well, I didn't really think you'd leave, but...
Mean you're both staying?
We certainly are.
Well, so now that you know where we stand, Mr. Sykes, maybe you'll agree to help us by telling us what you know.
I don't know.
Come on, Mr. Sykes.
It's your duty as an American.
Well, might be a good thing.
I assure you, you won't regret it.
What do you say?
Well, yep, reckon I will.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Now we're getting someplace. All right, Mr. Sykes, start talking.
Eagerly, Clark Kent and Lois Lane wait for the white-haired old telegrapher to begin telling them what he knows of the mysterious goings-on in Freeville. What will he reveal? We'll be back in a moment for the startling climax of today's episode. So stand by. In his little telegraph office, old Abner Sykes has just agreed to tell Clark Kent and Lois Lane what deep, dark mystery is gripping Freeville. As we rejoin them now, Sykes gets up and walks toward the door.
Where are you going, Mr. Sykes?
Close up.
Close up?
Yep, it's closing time.
Oh.
More private, too.
Well, that's right, but why are you going out?
Gonna have a look around outside. Make sure nobody's spying. Be right back.
Okay. He sure is frightened, isn't he, Clark?
Yes, and so is everyone else in this crazy town.
Uh-huh.
That is everyone but my good friend and fellow newspaper man.
Who do you mean?
Local Gazette editor, Fred...
What's that?
Pistol shots.
Good heavens, what do you
Come
think?
on, follow me. What? Lois, look! On the sidewalk.
It's Mr. Sykes.
Shocked, Clark Kent and Lois Lane stand outside the little telegraph office, where in the faint light from the open door, old Abner Sykes lies motionless on the ground, his eyes closed. Obviously, this was a deliberate attempt to keep the truth from Clark Kent and Lois Lane. But who shot the old telegrapher just before he could reveal the secret of the mystery that grips the town of Freeville? Don't miss tomorrow's tense and exciting episode as Superman and Lois Lane battle through a dark, tangling web of mystery and danger. Be sure to tune in again tomorrow. Same time, same station.
And remember, for breakfast, it's Kellogg's Pep.
For excitement, the adventures of Superman.
Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC comic magazines and is brought to you Monday through Friday at this same time by Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Kellogg's Pep. P-E-P, Pep. Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal, presents
The Adventures of Superman. Today, Clark Kent and Lois Lane's continued probing for information behind the mystery of Freeville brings them that much closer to the edge of doom. And now, the adventures of Superman. Arriving in Freeville to cover a routine story of a prolonged dry spell, Lois Lane was captured by two unknown men who finally released the girl reporter only after warning her to leave Freeville that night or die. Clark Kent, who, as we know, is Superman, believed that the threat to Lois was tied up somehow with the bad feeling existing between the local bigwigs and politicians and a group of war veterans who were homesteading nearby. Convinced that Abner Sykes, the close-mouthed telegrapher, knew a great deal about the mystery, Kent and Lois finally persuaded him to take them into his confidence. But before the old man could reveal what he knew, he was shot by an unseen assailant. As we continue now, the two reporters are in the corridor of the little local hospital, where they wait anxiously for word of Abner Sykes' condition. Listen.
I do hope Mr. Sykes will pull through.
So do I, Lois.
He seems gruff, but he's really such a sweet old man. Why would anyone want to shoot him?
Well, that's obvious, to keep him from talking, of course.
Really?
Well, certainly. Sykes obviously knows the answer to what's going on here in Freeville. Why all the people seem afraid and why they walk away when you try to question them.
Oh, yes, but just
What's more, he knows what's behind the ill feeling between the local bigwigs and the war veterans on that farm project. That's why he was shot.
You mean to keep him from telling us?
Definitely.
Good heavens. What do you suppose is going on, Clark?
No, I'm not sure yet. But I am certain it's something big, very big.
Yes, I suppose so. Oh, Clark, Mr. Sykes must pull
Wait a
through.
minute, Lois. Here comes the doctor now.
Oh, dear, I'm afraid.
You're up. He's smiling.
He is?
Well, what's the good word, Doctor?
That old Abner. Never saw the likes of him.
Well, what do you mean, Doctor? How is Mr. Sykes?
He's fine, Candy, just fine.
Oh, how wonderful.
There's not a thing wrong with him. Old Abner sheds bullets just like that Superman fella does.
Sheds bullets?
That's right. You see, old Abner had made himself a bulletproof vest.
Oh, no.
A bulletproof vest?
Stitched it right into his red flannel underwear.
Well, I'll be hanged.
That's all, brother.
Yep. I've known old Ab all my life and always said he was the smartest man in the county, even though he hardly ever opened his mouth. Yes, sir. I knew he knew what he was doing all the time, too. Wasn't taking any chances.
What do you mean, Doctor?
He wasn't taking any chances with whom?
Look, I'm just a medical man, Kent.
Yes, I know, but
and
you
I
made
don't meddle with politics or anything else outside my profession.
But you just said Mr. Sykes was your friend.
Yes, and somebody tried to shoot him, so it's your duty to find...
My duty's to help the sick and injured. It's the sheriff's job to find the man who tried to kill Ab Sykes.
Well, that's right, but I understand the sheriff is out of town.
It's
so
still his job. Got a family and... Yeah, but that's neither here nor there. I came out to tell you that Abner's all right. He's just stunned from the force of the bullets. And he wants to see you two.
Oh, you mean we can see him now?
That's right, Miss Lane. You can go right on in.
Oh, thank you, Doctor. Come on, Lois.
That you, Mr. Kent?
Yes, Mr. Sykes.
Miss Lane with you?
Yes, I'm right here.
Good. Come on over to the bed.
Oh, we're both mighty glad to know you weren't hurt.
Are you sure you're all right now?
Yep, just got a little pain in my chest is all.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But it's nothing. No great harm done.
Oh, thanks to your bulletproof vest.
Yep, came in handy this time, did.
You can say that again. Why, when we saw you lying on the ground, we were...
Never mind that now, Lois. Look, Mr. Sykes, do you know who shot you?
Yep, I do.
Who was it?
Tell you later.
Why can't you tell us now?
Well, I gotta tell you the whole story all at one time.
Oh. But look, we've got to get...
You and Miss Lane here sure got gumption, Kent.
Thanks.
That's what we need here in Freeville. Folks with gumption who'll stand up to them scalawags.
What scalawags?
Them was out to ruin Freeville, and maybe the whole country besides.
Just what do you mean, Mr. Sykes?
Well, can't tell you exactly, 'cause some things I'm sure of, and some I'm not quite so sure of.
Well, suppose we start with the things you are sure of.
Well, here's how it is. When we first heard about them war veterans coming in here...
Hey, what is this?
Uh-oh.
Hello, Mr. Kent.
Oh, how are you, Mr. Leonard?
Abner, you old scallywag. What
Excuse
in the world
me, Mr. Clayton.
Yes, son? What is it?
I'd like you to meet a fellow newspaper man.
Oh, a pleasure, I'm sure.
Mr. Clark Kent of the Metropolis Daily Planet. Meet the Honorable Edward C. Clayton, 3 times governor of this state.
How do you do?
Mr. Kent, it's an honor to make the acquaintance of a fine journalist such as you are reputed to be.
Yeah, thank you. Miss Lane, may I present Mr. Clayton?
Lane?
And Mr. Leonard?
Did I hear you say Miss Lane, sir?
Yes, you did. I'm Lois Lane, also of the Metropolis Daily Planet.
Oh?
Why, this is the young lady who was reported missing, Mr. Clayton.
Well, I'm delighted to meet you, my dear. As soon as I heard you were missing, I said, she'll show up all right. Nothing happens to folks in my state. No, sirree, Bob.
Well, something did happen this time.
What's that?
Oh, no, nothing. She's just joking. Lois, I'd like you to meet Fred Leonard, editor and publisher of the Freeville Gazette.
How do you do, Mr. Leonard?
Pleasure to meet you, Miss Lane.
Yes, indeed. Yes, it is a real pleasure to meet the representatives of so excellent a newspaper as the Daily Planet. Yes, sirree, Bob. A great newspaper.
Go away. Everybody, please go away.
Huh? Why, Abner, I'm surprised at you. That's no way to talk to your friends who come over to see you as soon as they heard something had happened to you.
Nothing happened to me.
Nothing?
Nope.
What's all this I hear about somebody taking a shot at you?
Why, yes, we were all upset when we heard about it, Abner, and we rushed right over here.
Well, nothing to be upset about. Just go away and take them reporter folks away from me.
What?
Now, look here.
You
Mr.
heard
Sykes.
me. Go away. You bother me.
Now, Abner.
Say, what's gotten into you, Mr. Sykes?
Lois.
You're the one man who can tell us what's going on here in
I
Freeville.
tell you, I don't know nothing.
Look, Lois, I think we'd better run
Well,
along.
Clark, what's gotten into him?
Well-
Concern it, Miss Lane. You and Mr. Kent gotta let me alone. I'm a sick man. Can't stand questioning. And I don't know nothing.
Well, I'll...
Folks, I think I'd better apologize for my friend Abner. After all, he did just suffer a great shock.
Yes, and he's sort of upset. Maybe we'd all better just leave now. Don't you think so, Mr. Clayton?
Yes, Fred, I do. I'm sure Miss Lane and Mr. Kent will understand.
Yes, of course. Come on, Lois.
But, Clark...
Come on, please. Goodbye, Mr. Sykes. Hope you recover quickly.
Yes, indeed, Abner. That expresses the sentiments of us all, I'm sure. Come on, Fred.
Well, goodbye, Abner. See you again soon.
Miss Lane, Mr. Kent, I want to tell you again how happy I am to meet you, and I want you to know how much I think of your paper, the Daily Planet. Yes, sirree, Bob. What this country needs is more fine papers like that, which spread the gospel of understanding and progress.
Thank you, Mr. Clayton.
Yes, sir. You know, we're all brothers under the stars and stripes. All of us Americans, that is. And the sooner we understand that, the sooner we'll all get along like brothers. Right, Fred?
That's absolutely right, Mr. Clayton.
Yes, but there's something going on here that's not
it's
very...
nice to have met you, Mr. Clayton. Hope to see you again sometime. Come on, Lois.
Oh, wait. We've got a car. Can't we drop you somewhere?
Yes,
thank you, no. We'd rather walk. Goodbye.
Clark, I want
Still angry and puzzled by what she has just seen and heard, Lois Lane is literally dragged by Clark Kent away from the Honorable Ed Clayton and editor Fred Leonard. What is going on? We'll know more in a moment when we return for the exciting climax of today's episode. So stand by. As we rejoin them now, Clark Kent and Lois Lane have returned to the Central Hotel in Freeville and are walking through the third-floor corridor to their respective rooms. Lois, still furious, is trying to make sense out of Abner Sykes' strange behavior. Listen.
You mean Mr. Sykes suddenly changed his tune because he was afraid of Mr. Clayton and Mr. Leonard? Is that what you're trying to say, Clark?
I'm not sure, Lois. Either he was afraid of them or else he just didn't want to reveal what he knew.
But he was just about to tell us everything.
I know. That's because we're outsiders, so we're not involved in whatever's going on around here between the local bigwigs and politicians and the war veterans.
Yes, but...
And as you remember, Mr. Sykes said he wasn't sure of all his facts, just some of them. Well, my hunch is that he wanted our help in finding all the facts. Oh, hold it. Here's your room.
Look, Clark, let's go back to the hospital.
No.
With Leonard and that flag-waving ex-governor gone, maybe
No,
we can...
I don't think that's smart, Lois. And anyway, you need a rest after all you've gone through today.
Oh, you're right. Gee, I am pretty tired.
Of course you are. You got a good night's sleep. I'll see you in the morning, and we'll continue our investigation then.
Okay, Clark. Good night.
Night, Lois. I'll knock on your door at 7 o'clock.
Okay, Clark.
What's the matter? You having trouble?
Yes, the door's stuck.
Here, wait a minute. I'll help you.
Oh, never mind. Here it is. It's opening now.
Look out, Lois! Look out, I said get back!
Horrified, Clark Kent springs forward, his X-ray vision perceiving something within the room just as Lois enters it, and a violent explosion shatters the silence of the little village hotel. What has happened to the girl reporter? Is this the answer to Lois's defiance of the warning to get out of Freeville? What is going on in this sleepy little farming area? Don't miss tomorrow's thrilling episode, fellows and girls. Tune in, same time, same station.
And remember, for breakfast, it's Kellogg's Pep.
For excitement, the adventures of Superman.
Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC comic magazines and is brought to you Monday through Friday at this same time by Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Kellogg's Pep. P-E-P, Pep. Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal presents
The Adventures of Superman. Today, as Superman stalks the mysterious forces which hold Freeville in its evil clutches, events fraught with great danger move thick and fast against him. And now, the adventures of Superman. A prolonged dry spell in the area of Freeville, where 300 war veteran farmers face ruin, brought Lois Lane and then Clark Kent, reporters for the Metropolis Daily Planet, to the scene. And at once, things began to happen. First, unknown men warned Lois to leave Freeville at once or forfeit her life. Then Kent, who, as we know, is Superman, received a similar warning. Finally, old Abner Sykes, the local telegrapher, narrowly escaped death as he was about to reveal what he knew to the reporters. Returning to their hotel after learning that Sykes was all right, Kent had just said goodnight to Lois. And as she opened the door of her room and started to step inside, he suddenly lunged toward her, shouting a warning.
Look out, Lois!
just as the explosion shattered the stillness, Clark Kent, whose X-ray vision had enabled him to see the danger to Lois a split second before, leaped forward with the speed of light and shielded the girl reporter from the searing flash with his own body. As we continue now, shaken but unhurt, Lois stares in wide-eyed astonishment at her wrecked hotel room. Listen.
Good heavens. What happened, Clark?
Plenty. A booby trap just missed getting you, Lois.
A booby trap?
Yes, a charge of dynamite was set in a can on the floor of your room here.
Good heavens.
A wire running from the can was attached to the doorknob.
Why?
When you opened the door, you set off the charge.
Good gracious, I might have been killed.
Exactly what was intended by whoever set this little trap.
But who set it?
Undoubtedly, the same men who warned you to leave Freeville and tried to finish old Abner Sykes tonight were behind this.
Why, of course, it must have been.
Sure.
But what's it all about, Clark? What is going on in this town?
I don't know yet, but believe me, I'm going to find out. Uh-oh, we're getting company.
Oh, Miss Lane! Mr. Kent! What happened?
Mr. Keeler, you're the manager of this hotel, aren't you?
That's right, but what happened?
Will you come in here, please? I want to talk to you.
Oh, yes,
Stand back,
of course.
everybody.
Well, good gracious, look at this room.
Pretty, isn't it?
Look here, Mr. Keeler.
Miss Lane, are you all right?
Yes, saved by a miracle. Look, what kind of a place is
Wait
this
a minute,
anyway?
Lois. Let me handle this, please.
My word, Mr. Kent, the whole back of your suit coat is gone.
What? It is?
Yes, and your shirt is blackened.
Really?
Oh, Clark, you must have been burned when you shielded me from the bomb.
Bomb?
Why, you saved my life, but you were caught by the explosion.
Oh, no.
Oh, well, never mind that now, Lois. You see, I'm okay, and...
But I don't understand.
Stop wasting time. Remember, Lois, somebody is using us for clay pigeons around here, and we've got to put a stop to it.
Yes,
Now,
but
look,
you're...
will somebody please tell me what happened here?
That's what we want you to tell us, Mr. Keeler.
Well, how can I tell you
Is
what...
it the custom to furnish a bomb with each room in your hotel?
Why, how absurd, Mr. Kent. I can't believe there was a bomb.
Oh, you
Oh,
can't.
no? Well, that explosion you heard wasn't me cracking my bubble gum, Mr. Keeler.
Well, no, of course not.
It was a bomb, all right, and it was meant to do away with Miss Lane.
Jumping Jehoshaphat. Now, who would do a thing like that?
Well,
We thought you might have some ideas on that subject.
I?
Yes. The bomb didn't walk in here by itself, you know. Somebody obviously brought it in.
Well, yes, of course, but I have no idea who did it.
You haven't, eh?
Well, certainly not. I think I'll call Sheriff Cleary at once. Perhaps he can find it. Oh, I forgot. The sheriff's out of town.
is the sheriff the whole police force around here?
Why, yes, he is, Miss Lane. After all, Freeville's a small place, you know.
We'll
and
have to get along without the sheriff, then. I think you can help us, Mr. Keeler, if you want to.
Oh, naturally, I'll be happy to do anything I can to help clear up this terrible thing, Mr. Kent.
All right. Tell me this.
Yes?
What's behind the ill feeling between the local natives and politicians and the war veterans who've taken homesteads on the reclaimed land in this county?
Well, I wouldn't know anything about that.
Oh, here we go again, Clark.
Yes, you're as bad as the others around here, Keeler.
Well, now, look
All
here.
right, we'll handle this our own way. We can't do anything until morning, and you need sleep, Lois.
Yes, but I can't sleep in what's left of this mess.
Well, I can't tell you how much I regret this inconvenience to you, but there's a vacant room across the hall, and you can have that, Miss Lane.
All right, I'll take it.
No, very good. Follow me, please.
Seeing Lois Lane safely to another room, Kent returns to his own room, where he spends the night in a watchful vigil. But the little hotel is quiet, and so is Freeville. At 7:30 the next morning, Kent raps on Lois's door to awaken her. Then, after a hearty breakfast, the two reporters hurry to the small local hospital where the night before they had left Abner Sykes, the old telegrapher.
We'd like to see Mr. Abner Sykes, please.
He's not here.
What?
He isn't.
He left the hospital about an hour ago.
Oh, no.
You know where he went?
Back to his telegraph office, I guess. Doctor said there was nothing wrong with him.
I see. All right, thanks very much. Come on, Lois.
You're looking for old Abner, eh?
That's right. They told us at the hospital that he'd
Well,
come back.
Abner ain't around.
We can see that, but what
Can
we
you
want
tell us where to find him?
Well, I don't know as I can, mister.
Why?
He went off on a little vacation, you see.
Why
and I-
vacation?
That's right. He got me out of bed about an hour ago, said he was plumb wore out, needed a little vacation.
Uh-oh.
And told me to take over the office while he was gone.
Oh,
See, I
Clark.
spell him once in a while, holidays and so. Name's Lem Hawkins.
Well, did he happen to say where he was going for his vacation, Lem?
No, sir, he didn't.
What'll we do, Clark? Mr. Sykes is the only one who might tell us the truth about what's going on in this
I
town.
know, Lois. Look, Lem, don't you have any idea where Mr. Sykes went?
No. All I know is he went south on Highway 319.
319?
Yep, that's highway just below here.
How long ago did he leave?
Oh, half hour, maybe 45 minutes ago.
Thanks very much. Come on, Lois.
Okay. But where to now, Clark? Do you think we ought to
I'm
go...
going after Mr. Sykes.
You're
You-
going after him? How?
Well, don't worry. I'll find transportation. Now, listen.
Well, you don't even know where he
I
is.
know enough. Now, please, let's stop wasting time. After all, you admit our best chance to solve this whole mystery is to get hold of Mr. Sykes, don't you?
Well, certainly. But I've got a hunch he left so he wouldn't have to answer any questions. After somebody convinced him it would mean his life.
All right, I go along with you on that. But I've got to find him, so I want you to promise to sit tight in the hotel until I get back.
Oh, now, wait a minute, Clark. I think I'd like to look over this Veterans Farm project.
Nothing doing. You've got to stay right here till I get back.
But you said yourself you were sure the threats against us and everything else had something to do with the trouble between the veterans and the natives.
I know, but you can't risk getting into any more trouble.
I won't get into trouble. I'm just going to look...
Please, Lois, do as I asked, just this once. Now, I assure you it's the safest and sanest thing to do.
But, Clark, after all, I'm not
Lois,
a child.
Please.
Well...
Every second counts if I'm to catch up with Mr. Sykes.
Oh, well, all right, Clark.
You promise to sit tight and do nothing till I get back?
Yes, I promise.
Good, thanks. I'll be back as soon as I can.
Well, good luck.
Thanks. Now, where can I change clothes? Oh, that empty granary across the street. I hate to leave Lois even for a few minutes, but I think she'll be safe in broad daylight, and I can only catch up with Abner Sykes as Superman.
Stepping into the deserted granary, Clark Kent swiftly strips down to the blue costume and red cape of Superman. Then, up, and away! Leaping out and high into the sky, Superman rockets away above Highway 319 in pursuit of the old telegrapher, Abner Sykes. We'll return in a moment for the tense climax of today's episode, so stand by. Returning to the Freeville Hotel alone, Lois Lane is approached by a husky, sunburned young man who has apparently been waiting there for her.
Are you Miss Lois Lane?
Yes?
I'm Jerry Barton. I'm one of the fellows of the Veterans Homestead Farm project near here.
Yes, Mr. Barton. Mr. Kent told me about meeting you.
Uh-huh. Well, look, do you know where he is now?
Why, no, I don't.
But the hotel manager said you'd gone out with him early this morning.
Yes, I did, but he just left to look for someone we want to talk with.
Oh, I see. Any idea how soon he'll be back?
No, Mr. Barton, I haven't. Why?
Well, it's kind of important that I see him right away.
Oh, I'm sorry. Could you tell me about it? I'm a reporter for the Daily Planet, too, you know.
Yes, I know, but... Well, maybe you'll do as well as Mr. Kent on this.
Oh, good. What is it?
Well, look, you and Mr. Kent want to know what's going on around Freeville, don't you? Why we vets are in trouble with Fred Leonard and Uncle Ed Clayton and their gang?
Why, yes.
Well, I was just tipped off to something that's scheduled for this morning. And if you'll go there with me, it'll answer a lot of your questions.
What do you mean? What's scheduled for this morning?
Well, I haven't got time to explain, but you'll see when we get there. We've got to hurry if we're going to get there on time.
Well, now, wait a minute. Can't you tell me more about this, whatever it is?
No, not now. There isn't time. But I'm sure you wouldn't want to miss this, Miss Lane. It'll tell you just about everything you want to know.
Well, I don't know, Mr.
Why?
Barton.
You're here to get a story, aren't you?
Yes, certainly, but I promised...
Well, this is a story, a real humdinger of a story.
Yes, but I promised Clark Kent that I'd wait
This story won't wait, Miss Lane. If you want it, you've got to come with me now.
Okay. I'll go with you.
That's the way to talk, Miss Lane. I've got my car outside. Come on.
Deciding to disregard Clark Kent's warning and to break her promise not to leave the hotel for any reason until he returns, Lois Lane walks out and rides away with Jerry Barton. What, if any, is the story Jerry Barton says he has for Lois? And what of Superman rocketing farther and farther away from Freeville on the trail of Abner Sykes, unaware that Lois has left the hotel with Jerry Barton? Is the girl reporter stepping into another trap? Tomorrow's episode is one of the most exciting in this series, so don't miss it. Be sure to tune in again tomorrow. Same time, same station.
And remember, for breakfast, it's Kellogg's Pep.
For excitement, the adventures of Superman.
Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC comic magazines and is brought to you Monday through Friday at this same time by Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Kellogg's Pep. P-E-P, Pep. Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal, presents
The Adventures of Superman. Today, as Clark Kent trails the path of Abner Sykes, his only clue, Lois Lane dangerously pursues another lead to the vicious mystery enveloping the town of Freeville. And now, the adventures of Superman. Frightened townspeople who refuse to answer questions, anonymous warnings to leave town, attempts on the lives of the local telegrapher and Lois Lane. These are some of the strange circumstances baffling Lois and Clark Kent, reporters for the Daily Planet who are in Freeville, center of a farming area in the grip of a severe drought. Now, after once again running against a blank wall in an attempt to solve the mystery, Clark Kent as Superman left Freeville in pursuit of old Abner Sykes, the telegrapher, who had suddenly departed following the attempt on his life. Meanwhile, Lois was approached by Jerry Barton, head of a group of war veterans who had settled on homesteads nearby, who offered the key to the Freeville mystery. And as we continue now, the young veteran with Lois beside him is driving his car over a lonely country road. Listen.
Now, can you tell me where we're going, Mr. Barton?
Well, I don't know, Miss Lane.
You don't know?
Well, I mean,
I don't
I'm not sure.
understand. What is this? Are you taking...
Take it easy, Miss Lane. What I'm trying to say is that one of the boys, a buddy of mine, is going to tell us where to go.
Oh? Well, what is this mysterious thing we're going to?
A meeting.
What meeting?
Well, I don't know that exactly either.
What do you mean?
Well, Phil Dyer, my buddy, says this meeting is arranged to shoot the works.
Now, look here, Mr. Barton, I don't like this. You said you could lead me to a terrific story, the answer to all the mystery in Freeville.
That's right.
And now you tell me you don't know where you're taking me, except that it's to some meeting or other, and you don't even know where the meeting is being held or anything about it.
Now, wait a minute, please. Who said I didn't know anything about it?
You did.
I said I didn't know exactly what it was. But I do know this. The big shots will be there. And what's more important, they're all set to lay their cards on the table, according to Phil.
Really? And who are these big shots that you're talking about?
They're the boys who run things in Freeville and in this part of the state. The ones who pull the political strings everybody here has to dance to,
but
or
who
else.
Are they?
The guys who've been trying to discredit the homesteading war veterans around here. Those who spread the stories that we're hotheads and foreigners. That we've been burglarizing and beating up people.
But why are they doing that? Why do
they want to get rid of us, that's why.
Get rid of you?
Sure. Oh, we were great guys while we fought their war for them. But now we're not even good enough to make an honest living on the land that we protect.
Wait a minute, will you? Who are these people that you're talking about?
Well, you'll see that when we get there.
But why can't you tell me now?
Because I've tried to tell other people, and they wouldn't believe me. Or else they were afraid to believe me.
Afraid?
Yes, afraid. Everybody around here's afraid. So when Phil came in with the news about this meeting, I thought about your friend Kent. Because he seemed like a right Joe to me. Like a guy who wouldn't faint when he saw his own shadow.
I wouldn't call Clark exactly brave.
Like I say, I've talked to other people who got cold feet as soon as they got the lowdown. So I decided I wouldn't take the chance of Kent or you running out the way the rest of them did. You're reporters for a big paper. You can help us by printing the truth.
Look out for that curve!
Don't worry. I know these roads like the back of my own hand.
Well, take it easy, will you, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Golly.
So I decided this time I'd just offer Kent a big story and not take a chance of scaring him off by telling him all about it beforehand. Well, Kent is away. So the same goes for you, Miss Lane. And, well, that's why I've been so mysterious.
Well, I certainly hope this meeting, or whatever it is, will explain all this hocus-pocus that Clark and I have been running into here in Freeville.
You bet it will. And besides, uh-oh.
What's the matter? What are you stopping for?
There's a car parked at the foot of the hill. See it?
No, I don't see any car.
It's pulled off the road on the right. Almost hidden by the brush there. See it now?
Oh, yes. Well, what about it?
Well, we're getting near the meeting place now, so we've got to be careful. Someone may be posted in that car as a guard.
I see. Well...
No, it's okay.
How do you know?
Oh, I recognize it as Phil Dyer's car. He said he'd be waiting near where the woods started. I just had to be sure.
Well, of course. Look, is this meeting closed to you veteran homesteaders?
Oh, and how?
Then who are the people who...
Wait a minute. Now, be quiet, please.
I don't see your friend.
No, he's not in the car. Must be nearby somewhere. Well, I'll give him the whistle.
Okay, Jerry. Drive in here off the road.
Why, he must have been behind that tree all the time.
Uh-huh. Check, Phil. Hold on, Miss Lane. It's going to be a little bumpy.
Okay, I'm set.
Okay, hold it, Jerry. Give your motor.
Right.
Okay. Get out, pal. From here in, you walk.
Okay. Come on, Miss Lane.
All right.
Go ahead.
Well, it sure took you long enough to get here, Jerry.
Oh, sorry, Phil. I had to wait for Miss Lane at her hotel. Oh, Miss Lane, this is Phil Dyer.
How do you do, Mr. Dyer?
How do you do? Look, Jerry,
Huh?
I don't get this. I thought you were bringing that Daily Planet reporter, Clark Kent.
Clark Kent had to go somewhere, so I came instead. You see,
You came instead. Holy smokes, Jerry, are you off your nut? This is no job for a
I
girl.
know, Phil,
Look,
but
Mr. Dyer, this girl has been on plenty of tough assignments.
Not as dangerous as this.
Even more dangerous than this. You see, I'm a Daily Planet reporter, too.
I don't care. This is tough business, and we can't let you take the chance
Oh,
of...
now, don't be silly.
I'm not. I'm just thinking...
cut it out, Phil. You know that what we need is a reporter for a big city newspaper who isn't afraid to go out after the truth, who isn't scared to print it.
Right, but a girl. This job is too dangerous,
Will
I
you
tell
stop
you.
I had to
repeating
bring her,
that?
Phil. There's no telling when Ken will be back, and I didn't dare wait. Well, you said this meeting was going to be today at noon, didn't you?
That's
All right, then. Let's stop wasting time and get to work. According to my watch, it's 11:15.
Well, all right. I still don't like it, but if it's okay with you,
It's
Jerry.
okay. Now, what do we do, Phil?
Well, you start hiking along a narrow trail through these woods that starts at a point about 50 feet up ahead.
Uh-huh.
You
Cool.
follow the trail, and after you've gone about a mile and a half,
Mile
you'll
and a
come to a stream.
Okay.
Follow that stream until it brings you out into a big clearing.
Yeah.
That's where the meeting's being held.
Okay, I got it. Come on, Miss Lane.
Now, wait a minute. Before we go, can't you give me some idea of what this meeting is about, Mr. Dyer?
You'll see when you get there. Now, be careful, Jerry, because they'll be on the lookout for any outsiders, and if you get caught, well, it might be too bad.
I know. Don't worry. We'll be careful.
Who will be on the lookout?
You'll find that out, too, Miss Lane.
But look,
Save it,
as
Miss
long-
Lane, please. We've got to get started now. So long, Phil. See you later.
Right. And good luck to both of you.
Thanks.
Guy.
And remember, be careful.
Okay. Come on, Miss Lane.
Lead the way. I'm right behind you.
Her heart beating rapidly, Lois Lane follows Jerry Barton into the dense woods. As meanwhile, on the trail of the elderly telegrapher Abner Sykes, Superman has arrived at a toll bridge 60 miles north of Freeville, where he is questioning the man in charge.
You say you know Abner Sykes?
Sure do, Superman.
You're positive he hasn't come over this bridge in the past hour?
Yep, I know he hasn't.
That's strange. He was headed this way, and he's nowhere on the road ahead or behind.
Well, maybe he turned off on a side road.
Well, there are only 2 or 3 side roads, and I didn't see him on any of them. But I didn't search them thoroughly. I better go back and do that now.
Hey, listen. What'd old Abner do?
What?
Must have been something important to have you after him.
Well, he didn't do anything wrong, if that's what you mean. But he can help me on something important, something very important. So I've got to find him.
That's so. What's it all
No
about?
time to explain now. Thanks very much, though. Up and away!
Lucifer jumped right up into the sky.
His mouth gaping, the bridge tender watches in amazement as Superman rockets away in search of Abner Sykes. Will he find the old telegrapher? And meanwhile, what of Lois Lane and Jerry Barton on their hazardous mission in the woods? We'll be back in a moment with the exciting climax of today's episode. So stand by. The dense woods several miles from Freeville, Lois Lane is following Jerry Barton along a narrow, twisting trail, crowded with brambles and overhung by moss. Tired, winded, she finally breaks the silence.
Look, Jerry. How much farther is this? I'm getting winded.
Can't be much farther, Miss Lane.
What?
Phil said it was... Wait. Hold it.
What's the matter?
I thought I heard something.
Hey!
Yeah, hear that?
Yes.
Hey! Where'd you get to?
Somebody's coming this way. Quick, Miss Lane. Get off the trail. We've got to hide.
Hey! Oh! I don't know where Hank got to. Come over here and help me look.
Get down low, Miss Lane. They're coming this way. If they see us, we're dead pigeons.
Crouching in the thick brambles and damp moss, Lois Lane and Jerry Barton hold their breaths as the unseen men converge toward them. Will Lois and Jerry be discovered? What is the mysterious meeting which the war veterans are so eager to have Lois overhear? While Superman, many miles away, searches for Abner Sykes, whom he believes holds the key to the Freeville mystery. Tomorrow's episode is packed with thrills and suspense, so be sure not to miss it. Tune in, same time, same station.
And remember, for breakfast, it's Kellogg's Pep.
For excitement, the adventures of Superman.
Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC comic magazines and is brought to you Monday through Friday at this same time by Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Kellogg's Pep. P-E-P, Pep. Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal, presents
The Adventures of Superman. Today, Superman speeds his determined way to solve the mystery of Freeville, little realizing that Lois Lane, proceeding on her own, now stands in dire peril of her very life. And now, the adventures of Superman. In Freeville, center of a farm area which is in the grip of a prolonged drought, mysterious goings-on have involved Clark Kent and Lois Lane to the point where both reporters received anonymous warnings to leave town. And when they defied the threats, an attempt was made on Lois's life. An attempt was also made on the life of Abner Sykes, the local telegrapher, who was about to give them the key to the mystery before he was frightened into leaving Freeville without revealing his destination. Then, while Kent, as Superman, searched for the telegrapher, Lois joined forces with Jerry Barton, a young war veteran who led her through dense woods bound for a secret meeting which he promised would provide the answers to all her questions. But suddenly, as they approached the meeting place, men's voices were heard nearby. Jerry hastily led Lois off the trail, and as we continue now, they are crouching in a mass of brambles. Listen.
Keep down low, Miss Lane. If those men spot us, we're dead pigeons.
Why, Jerry? Who are they?
They work for the big shot. I caught a glimpse of one of them. He's wearing yellow suspenders.
He was wearing what?
Yellow suspenders, or gallus, as they call them down here. All the big shots' followers wear them, same as he does.
But who is the big
Quiet,
shot?
Miss Lane, they're getting closer.
Hey, where in darnation you been, Hank?
I went to the spring for a drink. Why?
You're supposed to watch the trail, that's why. Supposing some outsiders got in here.
Oh, relax, Charlie. Couldn't no outsiders get in without my seeing them.
Well, we can't be too careful. A couple of reporters from Metropolis came to Freeville yesterday. We're asking questions.
He must mean Clark and me.
Don't you worry. They won't come traipsing around here if they know what's good for them.
Oh, they better not. Well, almost time for the meeting to get started. Let's get over there.
Wait. Who's going to watch out back here?
Ray, you'll be along pretty soon. Come on.
Okay, Miss Lane, come on. They're out of sight now. But don't make any more noise than you have to.
Right.
That guy Rafe may be lurking around, so watch it. Just follow me and don't say any more till we see how the land lies.
All right, Jerry. Lead on.
Walking swiftly, but as quietly as they can, Jerry Barton and Lois walk through the woods for a quarter of a mile. Then suddenly, at a hand signal from Jerry, Lois stops. A little below them and just ahead stretches a large clearing in the woods, in which are some 200 sunburned, straw-hatted men and women, dressed in frayed overalls and calico dresses. A huge barbecue pit in which several pigs are roasting stands at one end of the clearing, and husky shirt-sleeved men wearing bright yellow suspenders serve meat and cold drinks to the crowd. A roughly built plank platform stands in the middle of the clearing. Alone on the platform, another shirt-sleeved man with yellow suspenders works hard at a pipeless organ.
We'll be able to hear everything from here, Miss Lane, but keep back behind the tree where they can't see you.
Okay.
This is one of those backwoods political rallies. Barbecue, music, and all the trimmings.
And speeches?
Yeah.
That's what I brought you here to hear.
Look, if this is just a political rally, why all the secrecy? And the guards out in the woods?
Because the people running this show don't want what they call outsiders to know what's going on.
But why? I don't see anything wrong.
Well, here's where you find out, Miss Lane. Look. See those two men climbing up on the speaker's platform?
Yes. They look familiar. Say, well, that's Mr. Leonard, the editor of the Freeville Gazette.
That's right.
And Mr. Clayton, the ex-governor of this state, the one they call Uncle Ed.
Yeah. You know there was a contested senatorial election in the state.
Yes, I know.
And they're going to run it off next month. Uncle Ed wants to be our next senator.
Oh, I get it.
Oh, let's listen to him talk.
What does that mean, Jerry?
Just keep your ears open, Miss Lane.
Jerry?
He'll tell you in just a moment.
White Anglo-Saxon.
Boy, that...
Why, did you hear what he said, Jerry?
Sure, I heard
He
it.
called our own veterans, men who fought for our country, foreigners. Just because of their color or the country their parents came
That's
from.
what he always says, Miss Lane.
How dare he say that?
He's a hate peddler. That's the regular hate preacher's line.
Just listen to him. I'm so mad.
What a dirty lie. The land we veterans got was state-owned, reclaimed swampland that nobody ever wanted before.
I know. This is terrible, Jerry. Good American citizens, Mom.
Oh, that dirty lying...
Easy, Jerry.
He's lying, Miss Lane. Clayton and his gang are trying to discredit us because they know they can't make men who fought a war against Nazis vote for old Uncle Ed. He knows that we'll work against him and try to wake the people up to the fact that he peddles the same poison Hitler did.
I know, Jerry. I'm beginning to understand a lot about the mystery in Freeville now. What? Jerry, did you hear what he said?
Yes, now he's posing as the good Lord's helper. Good old Uncle Ed, he'd say anything to get
No, but
votes.
wait a minute. That's very strange. He actually promised that the drought would...
He must be the outsiders belong to that car Ray found back in the road.
Hey, now, wait a minute.
Don't move, you two.
Now, look here. Don't you point those rifles at us.
Hank, this is that reporter gal I told you about. It is?
Put those guns down, you fools.
Don't move, I said, or this gun will go off.
Now, you look here. We haven't done anything
Shut up,
wrong,
man.
and...
Shut up and turn around.
Now, wait a minute.
You too, Barton.
And come along. Uncle Ed will want to see you.
See us? What for?
To say goodbye. Because you two are going on a long trip. Now start walking. Trapped, Lois Lane and Jerry Barton have no choice but to turn and march into the clearing, crowded by the long rifles of the two burly men wearing yellow suspenders. What will happen? We'll be back in a moment with the tense climax of today's episode, so stand by. As Lois Lane and Jerry Barton were captured by Uncle Ed Clayton's followers, Superman, mystified by his failure to find old Abner Sykes, the telegrapher, has returned to the hotel in Freeville where he had left Lois. Finding Lois gone, he has resumed the guise and garb of reporter Clark Kent and is questioning Mr. Keeler, the hotel manager.
Say, Miss Lane left the hotel, Mr. Keeler?
That's right, Mr. Kent, a couple of hours ago.
But she promised to stay right here. Was she alone?
No, she went out with Jerry Barton.
Jerry Barton?
Yes, he's
Yes,
that
I
young
know
fella.
who he is, but have you any idea where they went?
Well, I noticed them drive off in the car. That's all I know.
Scott, I gave Lois strict orders not to leave the hotel.
What's that?
Never mind. Thanks, Mr. Keeler. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't like this. Got to find Lois. I've got a hunch that this time she's walked into real trouble.
Hurrying from the hotel, Clark Kent steps into an alleyway and swiftly resumes his true identity of Superman. Then, up, and away! Leaping high into the bright sky, the Man of Steel rockets away, bound for Jerry Barton's farm. But as we know, Jerry and Lois Lane are in serious trouble, a long distance away from his farm. What will happen to the young war veteran and girl reporter, who are now in the hands of the men of hate? Will Superman be able to trace them? And in time? Don't miss Monday's thrilling episode, fellows and girls. Be sure to tune in. Same time, same station.
And remember, for breakfast, it's Kellogg's Pep.
For excitement, the adventures of Superman.
Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC comic magazines and is brought to you Monday through Friday at this same time by Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Kellogg's Pep. P-E-P, Pep. Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal presents
The Adventures of Superman. Today, Superman, alarmed to find Lois Lane gone, speedily sets out to find her, little realizing that the girl reporter is already in the clutches of Freeville's bigoted villains. And now, the adventures of Superman. Soon after arriving in the farming area of Freeville to cover the story of a strange and ruinous drought, Clark Kent and Lois Lane received anonymous warnings to get out. And when they ignored the threats, an attempt was made on Lois's life. Then Abner Sykes, the elderly local telegrapher, was also attacked. Frightened, Sykes left the vicinity, and while Kent, as Superman, searched for the telegrapher, Lois went with Jerry Barton, a young war veteran, to a secret political rally held in the woods. There they heard the Honorable Edward C. Clayton, known to the natives as Uncle Ed, ex-governor and now a candidate for senator, make a vicious, un-American speech. But before Lois and Jerry could leave, they were discovered by Uncle Ed's henchmen. And as we continue now, they stand in a far corner of a large clearing, guarded by a burly man with a rifle. Across the clearing, Uncle Ed is shaking hands with his departing followers, the local farmers and villagers, and their wives. Listen.
Now, look here, you. I'd advise you to put that rifle down and let us pass, or else...
I'd advise you to stay right where you are, Miss Lane. This gun is loaded, you know.
That goes for you, too, Barton.
Nothing doing.
You'd
you
better
can't
do
make...
what the man says, Miss Lane.
Why should I, Jerry? After
Hold
all,
it.
I'm
No,
a...
hold it. Here comes Uncle Ed in person.
Oh, good. I want to tell him just what I think of an ex-governor and a man who wants to be senator, making such a rabble-rousing speech and trying to turn one group of Americans against another.
Well, what's this? Seems to me I see the faces of two old friends.
Friends, huh?
Why, Miss Lane. It does me good to see your charming face again.
Oh.
Barton, my hand, sir.
Hold on, Mr. Clayton. Why, These folks can't be your friends. They spy.
Huh? What's that?
Yeah, Hank and me caught 'em snooping around.
How dare you call us spies?
Why,
What is
of
this?
course you're not spies, Miss Lane. Why, spies are emissaries from the enemy. But we haven't any enemies around here. Why, we're all brothers, fellow Americans, that is.
Listen, you old windbag.
Now, look, you don't get it, Uncle Ed. This gal is a reporter from a big paper in
I know
Metropolis.
that, Charlie. I know that. I know she's a reporter from the Daily Planet. Great newspaper which spreads the gospel of liberty, fraternity, and free speech. Isn't that right, Miss Lane?
Well, yes. But how dare you
Yes, sir. I always say that you can't have liberty without free speech.
Yes, but free speech doesn't mean the right to tell lies in order to incite people to violence.
Huh?
It doesn't give you license to turn one group against another, the way you just did in your speech, Mr. Clayton.
My dear Miss Lane, I wasn't turning nobody against nobody.
What do you call it when you say the war veterans who've been given homesteads in this county are foreigners?
Well,
you know that's not true. You know that they're all good Americans, boys who fought and bled for America.
Lots of them are foreigners. You can tell by the names and where the folks come from.
According to the Bill of Rights, my bigoted friend, every American, regardless of how he spells his name or parts his hair or how he chooses to worship his God, is entitled to equal rights.
And what's more, I fought the war with thousands of the men that you call foreigners. I fought by their side and I saw them die. Nobody asked them what church they belonged to when they sent them out to fight the Germans and Japs.
You bet they didn't.
And no bullet ever drew a color line either.
You see, that's just what I mean.
What you mean?
You mean?
Yes, sir. That's exactly what I mean. All brothers under the grand old stars and stripes. Brother Americans, that is.
Brother.
You may quote me on that in your great paper, Miss Lane.
I'll quote you, all right, you hypocritical windbag. I'll quote the un-Americanism, the Nazism that you just...
No, you won't do no such thing on account of you're not going to get
easy
the
there,
chance
Charlie.
to...
Easy, like I say. I believe in free speech. I believe in everything it says in the Bill of Rights and in the glorious Constitution.
I'll just bet you do.
Come on, Jerry.
Now, hold on there. Look here, Uncle Ed. You ain't going to let these two just walk
Why,
out.
of course I am, Charlie. Why not? They're friends of mine.
But I tell
However, Charlie, I want you and Hank to escort them, just so they'll be safe. You know what I mean?
Well, don't bother. I know the way. Come on, Miss Lane.
Just a minute, friend Barton. Just a minute. Some of my other friends around here just might get the wrong idea about you, like Charlie and Hank did. So I'm sending these two boys along with you to make sure nothing will happen. Charlie, take them around by Cider Creek. Meet less folks that way.
But that... yeah, I get it. Hank, come over here.
Wait a minute. We don't need your guard, Mr. Clayton.
Of course we don't.
We'd rather go alone.
No, don't argue, five friends. This here's my estate, you know, and I personally see to it that nothing happens to anybody in it. So you go along with the boys now. Well, I gotta be getting along myself now, so good luck to you, Miss Lane. You, Mr. Barton.
I don't like this, Miss Lane. He's up to something.
What do you mean, Jerry?
Well, his being so nice to us.
Okay. Get going, you two. Straight ahead.
Come on, Jerry. I want to get back to Freeville anyway and see Clark Kent.
Clayton mentioned Cider Creek. I know these parts pretty well. I never heard of any Cider Creek.
You didn't?
No. And besides, the way we're heading now, upstream, that's just the opposite way of the way we want to go.
Oh, gee, that's funny.
Wait a minute. Let's stop a minute.
Now, what are you stopping for? Keep 'em moving.
Wait. I want to get something straight. First, I never heard of any Cider Creek. And second, I can tell from the sun that we're heading in the wrong direction.
Yeah, well, me and my rifle says you're heading the right way, see?
Get moving.
But why are we going...
Get on, get...
Come on, Jerry. There's no use arguing.
Well, okay. But something tells me we're in for trouble, Miss Lane. Bad trouble.
Uneasily, Lois Lane and Jerry Barton walk in the direction indicated by Charlie and Hank, who follow silently, holding their rifles at the alert. Meanwhile, finding nobody at Jerry Barton's farm, Superman has arrived at the Legion post, situated at a crossroads in the heart of the Veterans Farm community. Once more in his guise of Clark Kent, he is speaking to the only person there, a red-headed veteran named Don Smith.
See, Don, Miss Lane left Freeville a couple of hours ago with Jerry Barton. I'm rather worried about her, and
Miss Lane's with Jerry, you've got nothing to worry about, Mr. Kent.
Well, I can't be too sure. After all, one attempt was already made on her life.
I hope you don't think we veterans were responsible.
Well, no, but
Don't believe everything you hear around Freeville. Certain people, important people, are trying to discredit us veterans and get us out of the state.
I know, and I intend to find out about that. Right now, though, I'm worried about Miss Lane. Haven't you any idea where Jerry Barton is?
Well, all I can tell you, Mr. Kent, is that Jerry and Phil Dyer, another one of our boys, is on the trail of something important today.
What is this something important, Don?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you if I did. They ought to be back any time now. Relax.
Guess I'll have to.
Don't worry. Jerry and Phil know their way around. Excuse me.
What's the matter?
Time for the weather report. Bet you we get the same old malarkey.
What's that?
Well, wait a minute.
Weather
Here's Mr.
forecast
Cheerful
for
now.
Freeville and vicinity, heavy rains continuing
Rains?
through the day and into the night. For tomorrow,
I heard enough. Same old stuff, all right.
Wait a minute, Don. That means your dry spell is broken.
Are you kidding? We've been getting reports of rain every day for the past month.
You have?
Sure. This is supposed to be the rainy season out here, you know.
Well, I know.
So
but the weatherman
every day, the weatherman says that it's raining here. And every day he's talking through his hat.
Well, that's strange.
Now, you're telling me.
Very strange. I wonder...
What?
No, it can't be. But just the same, I'll look into that as soon as I find Lois. Oh, where are your friends and Miss Lane? Why don't they get back?
Easy, Mr. Kent. They'll be back any minute, I'm sure.
I certainly hope so. But frankly, I'm worried, Don. Badly worried.
Fretfully, Clark Kent paces the floor of the little Legion post, waiting for Jerry Barton and Phil Dyer to return with Lois Lane. What is happening to Lois and Jerry Barton? We'll be back in a moment to find out, so stand by. Closely guarded and followed by two armed men, yellow suspender-wearing followers of Uncle Ed Clayton, Lois Lane and Jerry Barton have proceeded to follow an almost impenetrable trail through a dense forest. Now they are ordered to halt.
Wonder what we're stopping here for.
Because from here on in, you go alone.
What?
Alone?
Yeah, you don't need no more escort.
But where are we? How do we get out
Just
to the...
follow your nose straight ahead about 50 yards, and you'll have nothing to worry about.
Wait a minute. Does that take us out on the highway?
Yeah, end of the trail, sort of.
And the beginning of a new road.
A new road?
I don't like the sound of this, Jerry.
No, neither do I.
Get along with you now. Don't try coming back this way, because we'll be waiting. Go on.
Well, all right. But that highway better be there. Come on, Miss Lane.
Okay. But keep your eyes open, Jerry.
Remember what I said now. Don't try coming back this way. Just keep right on walking.
Yeah, just keep on walking till you fetch up in the quicksand bog.
Yeah, they'll be in that quicksand in a minute. When we hear 'em thrashing and yelling, we'll know they'll never give us nor Uncle Ed no more trouble.
Smiling evilly, the two men stand by and watch cold-bloodedly as Lois Lane and Jerry Barton unwittingly walk directly toward a hidden quicksand bog and what seems like certain death. What will happen as Superman, still unaware of their predicament, waits fretfully for news of them? There's a thrill a minute in tomorrow's exciting episode, gang, so don't miss it. Be sure to tune in again tomorrow. Same time, same station.
And remember, for breakfast, it's Kellogg's Pep.
For excitement, the adventures of Superman.
Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC comic magazines and is brought to you Monday through Friday at this same time by Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Kellogg's Pep. P-E-P, Pep. Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal presents
The Adventures of Superman. Today, Superman gets a hunch that means the beginning of the end of the evil mystery strangling the town of Freeville. And now, the adventures of Superman. While Superman searched for them, Lois Lane and Jerry Barton, a young war veteran, were eavesdropping at a secret political rally in the woods at which Edward C. Clayton, rabble-rousing ex-governor and senatorial candidate, made a vicious, un-American speech. Discovered by Clayton's henchmen, Lois and Jerry, to their surprise, were greeted cordially by Clayton, who assigned two men to escort them safely through the woods. After a long walk, the men instructed them to continue straight ahead, saying they would soon reach a highway. The men then departed, chuckling over the fact that the girl reporter and the war veteran were headed directly toward a deadly bog of quicksand. As we continue now, Lois and Jerry have emerged from the trees, where before them stretches what appears to be a mossy clearing. Listen.
Look, Jerry. You can see the highway through those trees. Gee, our tough friends were on the level after all.
Well, it's a highway, all right, Miss Lane. But it's miles from where we left my car. I wonder what was the idea they're bringing us way out here.
Well, Clayton said we might get hurt if we ran into any of his followers. Maybe that's why he sent us the long way round.
Maybe. But I wouldn't trust that guy as far as I can throw a Sherman tank, Miss Lane.
Well, neither would I, but he wouldn't dare let anything happen to us.
I don't know about that.
Well, we'll talk about him later. Right now, I'm anxious to get back to Freeville and tell Clark Kent all about this, Jerry. Have you got your breath back?
Sure.
Come on, then. Let's go.
Okay.
When we get on the highway, we'll flag the car and we can get... Jerry! Look out!
What the...
Jerry! I can't walk.
Gee,
I'm
who's
sinking.
that, Miss Lane? We've walked into a quicksand bog.
Oh, no!
Yes. Look, stop threshing around. It'll only pull you under faster.
But I've got...
Try to work your way over that limb. It's hanging over the edge of the bog.
But...
We can get a hold of those branches. We can pull ourselves out.
But I can't move. I keep sinking deeper.
You gotta keep trying, Miss Lane. You've got to.
It's no use, Jerry. I'm almost down to my waist now.
Try to keep calm, Miss Lane. I'm getting closer to that tree.
No, you're not. You're sinking too. Help! Help!
No use yelling. That's no use. Nobody can hear us on the highway. It's too far. There's nobody around here.
But those men who led us here, Charlie and Hank, they can't be far away. Charlie! Hank!
Don't waste your breath calling them. Stop it, Miss Lane. Can't you see they planned for us to fall in this bog?
What?
Joe, do you remember that Clayton rat told them to take us by way of Cider Creek? And I said there wasn't any Cider Creek.
Oh!
Well, he obviously meant for them to lead us into this quicksand. Get rid of us that way so that we couldn't spread the story of how he's feeding natives hate poison down here. Oh, if I could only get my hands on him.
I'm afraid you never will, Jerry. Look, it's over my waist now. In a few minutes.
Don't lose your head, Miss Lane. I'll get to that limb somehow.
Oh, Jerry, Clark told me not to leave the hotel. He said I'd get into trouble if I did.
Never mind that now. Just take it easy while I try to reach that tree.
As Lois Lane feels herself being dragged deeper and deeper into the bottomless depths of treacherous quicksand, Jerry Barton continues his valiant but hopeless attempt to reach the overhanging branch of a nearby tree, a feat which in his heart he knows is hopeless. But meanwhile, several miles away at the Veterans Legion post, Superman in his guise of Clark Kent is questioning Phil Dyer, a friend of Jerry Barton's who has just come in.
Well, tell me about this political meeting you say Jerry took Miss Lane to, Dyer.
Well, Mr. Kent, I found out this morning that Ed Clayton was going to hold a hate rally back in the woods for the natives around here.
You mean the ex-governor, the one they call Uncle Ed?
Yeah, that's the one. He's running for senator now, you know.
Yes.
When I found out what precautions his gang was taking to keep all outsiders away from the meeting, I figured it was big stuff. So I told Jerry, and we decided to smuggle you in.
Now, wait a minute. What do you mean they were taking precautions to keep outsiders away? What precautions?
Oh, Uncle Ed had guards spread all through the woods. Tough gents with rifles and pistols.
Uh-oh, and you let Miss Lane walk into that setup?
No, I didn't want to, Mr. Kent, but she insisted.
She would.
I did my best to argue her out of it.
Oh, all right, never mind that now. Where's this meeting being held?
About 9 miles south of here, in a big clearing near Puddler's Stream.
Thanks very much, Dyer. I'll see you later.
Well, wait. I'll drive you over in my car.
Oh, thanks, but I have my own transportation. So long.
Hurrying from the Legion post, Clark Kent steps into a grove of trees, strips off his business suit to reveal the blue costume and red cape of Superman. Then, up, and away! Leaping high into the air, Superman rockets away to the south, over fields and woods. He checks his flight above a large clearing near a stream, where a rough plank platform stands.
That must be the clearing Phil Dyer meant. Nobody here now, though. Lois and Jerry must have left with the others and gone back to Freeville. Well, that's a relief. Now I can turn back. Wait a minute. What's that?
Every sense alert, Superman poses motionless in midair. As far in the distance, over the sounds of birds and stream and rustling trees, he hears a faint call, a human call for help. He listens, his amazingly acute hearing strained, his X-ray vision piercing the forest. Then...
That's a man and a woman calling for help. Away! Great Scott. Lois and Jerry Barton unconscious and being dragged under the surface of a quicksand bog. Down to them. Down! Lois. Jerry. Oh, if only I'm not too late. I've got to get them to a doctor in a hurry. Up with them now. There we are. Up and away!
Wrenching the unconscious Lois Lane and Jerry Barton free of the treacherous quicksand, Superman streaks away to find a doctor. Have the men of hate succeeded in silencing Lois and Jerry? We'll find out in just a moment, so stand by. After bringing Lois Lane and Jerry Barton to the home of a nearby country doctor, Superman soon learned that they would be all right. Then, leaving, he reappeared a short time later in the guise and garb of Clark Kent. And as we rejoin our friends now in the doctor's library, Lois and Jerry, wearing clothing donated by the doctor and his wife, sit in large chairs, relating their experience to Kent.
You see, Clark, Uncle Ed Clayton wanted to get rid of Jerry and me, so we couldn't report the kind of un-American poison we heard him feeding the natives down here.
That's right.
No, I don't think that's the reason, Lois.
Why, of course it is. We know now that it was his men who tried to scare you and me out of town. He did that so we couldn't find out how he's working to discredit the war veterans who've been given homesteads in this county. Men who represent a threat to his vicious political machine.
She's right, Mr. Kent. Clayton knows that if he doesn't get rid of us veterans, we'll get rid of him eventually.
Well, that may be true, Jerry,
Why,
but
Jerry tells me that Uncle Ed owns most of the town. The hotel, Fred Leonard's newspaper, practically everything.
Sure. Why, Fred Leonard is Uncle Ed's stooge, Kent.
And that's why everybody walked away when we tried to question them, Clark. They were either working for Uncle Ed or else they
were afraid of his goon squads.
That's right. He's undoubtedly given orders not to talk to strangers, particularly reporters who would let the rest of the country know that the Honorable Ed Clayton, 3 times governor and now candidate for the Senate, has set up a regular little Nazi Germany right in this state.
Well, that was waste effort, Lois, because the rest of the country already suspects that Clayton is a hate-monger and rabble-rouser.
What?
Well, then why don't they do something about it?
That's a matter for the people of this state themselves to handle, Jerry.
Oh, I see.
No, Uncle Ed didn't try to get rid of you to keep his rotten tactics a secret, and the people of Freeville weren't worried about us discovering that either.
Well, then why did they all look so frightened? And why did they walk away when we tried to question them?
Because we questioned them about the drought.
So what? I don't see what you're driving at.
Neither do I, Kent.
I'm not exactly sure myself, but something happened at the Legion Post today, and... Now, wait a minute. You said Clayton said something about the drought at his meeting in the woods today?
Oh, yes, but it wasn't important.
Well, tell me again what he said, Lois.
It's really a laugh, Clark. He said he'd been praying to heaven to help him in his fight against the foreign war veterans.
To heaven?
Yes, and he said that heaven had answered his prayers.
What?
He said that because of his prayers, there'd been no rain. And what was more, there wouldn't be any rain until the veterans' crops were completely ruined, and the veterans were broken financially and forced to leave the state.
Clayton said that?
He certainly did, didn't he, Jerry?
That's right. Why, can you imagine that windbag claiming to have a direct line to heaven? Why, that's blasphemy, that's what it is.
And utter nonsense, which anybody in his right mind would laugh at.
I don't know, Lois. Maybe Clayton knew what he was talking about.
What?
Are you out of your mind, Clark?
Oh, I don't mean that I believe his prayers had anything to do with the drought, but maybe, just maybe, we've stumbled on the wildest, most amazing plot in history.
Puzzled, Lois Lane and Jerry Barton stare at Clark Kent, wondering what he can possibly mean by saying they may have stumbled on the most amazing plot in history. Does Kent suspect that Uncle Ed Clayton, the politician who plays on ignorant men's prejudices, can be responsible for a drought? How could that be? Don't fail to be with us tomorrow when Kent explains his theory and more exciting and surprising things happen. Tune in tomorrow, same time, same station.
And remember, for breakfast, it's Kellogg's Pep.
For excitement, the adventures of Superman.
Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC comic magazines and is brought to you Monday through Friday at this same time by Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Kellogg's Pep. P-E-P, Pep. Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal, presents
The Adventures of Superman. Today, as Superman tries to prove his conviction that Freeville's drought is man-made, he is unaware of the brutal obstacles planted in his way. Now, the adventures of Superman. When Lois Lane, reporter for the Metropolis Daily Planet, heard Uncle Ed Clayton, ex-governor and now a candidate for the Senate, make a vicious, un-American speech against the war veterans who had taken homesteads in his county, she thought she had solved the mystery of Freeville. But Clark Kent, who, as we know, is Superman, said she was not entirely right and declared that the recent attacks on Lois, a young war veteran named Jerry Barton, and on old Abner Sykes, the local telegrapher, were somehow tied up with the prolonged dry spell in the community. As we continue now, Kent is querying Lois and Jerry Barton about their recent experience with the demagogue Ed Clayton. Listen.
Now, let me get this straight, Lois. You say that in his speech at that secret rally, Uncle Ed said his prayers were responsible for the drought?
That's right, Clark. He said heaven wouldn't let any rain fall until the veterans' crops were ruined and they were forced to leave the state. Did you ever hear such nonsense? And blasphemy.
That's blasphemy, all right, but I think it's a tip-off to what is probably the most amazing plot in history.
A plot?
What do you mean, Mr. Kent?
Well, it's just a foggy notion at the moment, Jerry. It'll sound wild and incredible, but...
Will you please tell us what you're driving at, Clark?
Oh, wait a minute, Lord. Let's go over this one step at a time. You came to Freeville to cover a simple human interest story on the drought, didn't you?
Well, yes, of course.
When you tried to talk to the natives, they looked frightened and walked away without answering, right?
Well, yes, but that's because practically everyone around Freeville works for Uncle Ed Clayton or has other reasons to be afraid of him. And they know he doesn't like strangers around, particularly reporters who would discover that the Honorable Mr. Clayton has practically set up a little Nazi Germany in this state.
That's right, Mr. Kent. And that's why Clayton's men tried to get rid of Miss Lane and me in that quicksand bog when they caught us listening in on that speech that he made to his followers.
No, Jerry. Clayton knows that the rest of the country is pretty well aware of his being a rabble-rouser and hate-monger. He wasn't afraid of your discovering that.
Well, then why does he resort to secret meetings?
Because he'd rather no one other than his faithful followers would know what he'd said about the drought.
The drought?
Mm-hmm.
You mean that nonsense about his prayers causing it?
That's right.
Look, I may be thick, Clark, but I don't get it.
Oh, neither do I.
Well,
Mr.
look,
Kent.
why, despite this being the rainy season, and despite the fact that the weather reports called for rain practically every day for the past month, has there been no rain?
I don't know, but Mr. Kent, you don't really believe that Ed Clayton's prayers had anything to do with it, do you?
Oh, of course not. But I'm not so sure that Ed Clayton himself doesn't have something to do with it.
Are you kidding?
Look, you just
Wait
said
a minute,
that...
Jerry. Clark, are you trying to say that you think Uncle Ed, by some hocus-pocus or other, keeps the rain away from Freeville?
That's my hunch, Lois.
Oh, now look, Clark.
I told you it would sound wild and incredible.
Wild and incredible? Why, it sounds crazy, mad, just out of this world.
It certainly does.
I never heard anything so ridiculous in my whole life.
Look,
Uncle Ed Clayton, the rain preventer.
Well, I only
and
want-
that from you, a newspaper reporter.
If you listen just for a
Listen
moment,
to
I'll...
what? For my money, Uncle Ed is simply taking advantage of an unusual drought to play on the superstitions and prejudices of the natives.
I think that's the answer, Kent. Clayton would do anything to get rid of us veterans because he knows that the men who fought Hitler won't stand for his setting himself up as a Hitler right here in the USA.
Well, that's true,
But as for his being able to cause a drought, just in order to break us and drive us out of the state, well, that's just plain silly.
And how?
Okay, you both had your say, and you may be right. But before I say more, I'm going to take a little trip, and I'd like you to come along, Lois.
Where are you going?
To the nearest weather observation station. Happen to know where that is, Jerry?
Sure, that's in Rawlings, about 18 miles north of here.
Fine. Now,
Wait a minute. Why do you want to go there, Clark?
You called me a bum reporter a moment ago. Don't you, as a good reporter, think that 30 days of rain predictions followed by 30 days of drought deserves a statement from a meteorologist?
Well, yes. How do we get to Rawlings, Jerry?
Well, that's easy. Just about every northbound train out of Freeville goes through Rawlings.
Okay. Now, look, you lay low until we get back, Jerry.
Okay, Mr.
Don't worry. You fellas are not licked yet. Sit tight until you hear from us. Come on, Lois.
Leaving Jerry Barton, Kent and Lois go to the Freeville depot and take a train to Rawlings. And a short time later, they're in the office of John Murray, chief county meteorologist, where they question the weatherman.
Tell us, Mr. Murray, how can you explain the fact that your weather predictions have been wrong for 30 days?
Frankly, Mr. Kent, I can't explain it. You see, our predictions are based on reports which come in constantly by teletype from as many as 1,000 to 1,500 observers.
That many observers?
That's right, Miss Lane. They are men stationed throughout the country at levels ranging from 1,000 to 30,000 feet above sea level to report on the precipitation, atmospheric pressure, wind velocity, and so on in their areas.
Yes.
Then we record all reports on surface synoptic and pressure charts.
I see.
From all that data assembled and charted, we're then able to predict with reasonable accuracy the weather in a given area up to 72 hours in advance.
Then how come you've been so wrong about Freeville?
I can't understand it. Ordinarily, there's a good deal of rain in that area during this season.
Well, would you call it a freak of nature?
I can't give any other explanation. Usually, when such a phenomenon occurs, we can trace some warm air currents which evaporate the moisture in the saturated clouds, thus causing drought.
Wait a minute. What's that about warm air currents, Mr. Murray?
Well, during the war, our meteorologists in the African desert saw their predictions go haywire. Then discovered that freak air currents, apparently coming from nowhere, suddenly spiraled up from the desert sands.
I see. But there's no desert around Freeville.
I know, Kent. There are mountains, of course, and they often affect the atmosphere and rain clouds.
But mountains never caused a situation like this, did they?
No, never to my knowledge. This drought has me stumped.
Well, I guess that's that, Clark.
Excuse me, Lois. Look, Mr. Murray, you say that warm air currents can evaporate the moisture in a saturated cloud?
That's right.
Well, have you ever heard of anyone being able to create warm air currents in amounts large enough to affect rainfall?
Oh, well, Kent.
Oh, come now, Clark. Are you still harping on that nonsense?
Just a minute,
Now
Lois.
stop being silly. Clark has the wild idea, Mr. Murray, that
Lois.
that somebody might be deliberately doing something to prevent the rain from falling over Freeville. Did you ever hear anything so absurd?
Well,
Is it absurd, Mr. Murray?
I'm afraid it is, Kent.
There, you see?
Of course, there are a lot of experiments being conducted. I won't say that in time precipitation won't be able to be controlled over a given area, but...
But you don't think anyone's discovered a way of doing that yet?
I'm afraid not. You know the old saying, everybody talks about the weather, but nobody can do anything about it.
Are you satisfied now, Clark?
No, not exactly, but it seems I'm overruled by experts. Well, thanks very much, Mr. Murray.
You're quite welcome. I hope you won't be too hard on me in your newspaper.
Oh, no, of course not. It isn't your fault.
Right. Goodbye, and thanks again.
Goodbye, Mr. Murray.
Goodbye.
Well, what do we do now? We didn't get much of a story to put on the wires, Clark. And, oh, if I know the chief, he's going to be hopping mad.
If I could only find old Abner.
What did you say?
Abner Sykes, you know, the old Freeville telegrapher.
Good grief, I forgot all about him. Weren't you able to find him, Clark?
No, and that's another thing I can't understand. He just seems to have disappeared. Now, come on, let's get out of here.
Well, that proves my theory, then.
What theory?
That after somebody tried to shoot him, undoubtedly one of dear old Uncle Ed's hoodlums, Sykes just up and left Freeville.
Well, could be, but that also proves my theory.
What's your theory?
That Abner Sykes knows something very important. Something Uncle Ed Clayton didn't want him to tell us. And my hunch is that what he knows is the secret of the drought.
What are you talking about, Clark? You just heard that it isn't a secret. It's a freak of nature.
Maybe, but... Look, Lois, there's a nice-looking restaurant across the street. Go on over and have something to eat while you wait there for me, will you?
Wait for you? Where are you going?
I've got a little idea I want to check.
Oh, now...
Now, go on. Be a good girl and have dinner without me. I'll be back soon. So long.
Hurrying away from Lois, Clark Kent walks around the municipal building, stops in a dark alleyway, and then strips to the blue costume and red cape of Superman.
Well, maybe I am all wet, but I want to have a look around Freeville again just to double-check. Up and away!
Leaping up into the twilight sky, Superman rockets away to the Freeville area of village, farms, and spreading woodland, where, for several minutes, he moves slowly through the air, searching the terrain below him. Then he streaks away to the looming mountains, swooping and coasting above them, his keen eyes continuously probing. Finally, as the evening closes in, he shakes his head ruefully.
Looks as if Lois, Jerry Barton, and Mr. Murray were right and I was wrong, because there's nothing the least bit suspicious around here. This drought must be a natural one, freak of nature, so that's that. Wait a minute. What's that far over there in the woods? It looks like... Yes, it is. Away!
Hauling on every ounce of speed in his muscles, Superman rockets away toward the distant woods, where something has excited his interest. What has he seen? We'll be back in a moment to find out, so stand by. As we rejoin him now, Superman has arrived over a patch of woods high on a mountain slope. Looking down, he observes a mass of flames whose flickering brightness had drawn his attention from far away.
There's a cabin on fire. Uh-oh. A man inside the cabin, unconscious. Down to him. Down! There he is. Now, let's... Great Scott! It's the Freeville telegrapher. Old Abner Sykes.
For a startled moment, Superman stares at the unconscious old man for whom he had searched in vain. The one person he is certain can solve the riddle which has so far stumped him. The relation between the Drought and Uncle Ed Clayton, the man of hate. Then a split second later, Superman streaks upward from the blazing cabin with Abner Sykes in his arms. Will the telegrapher live and be able to reveal what he knows about the mystery of the Freeville Drought? We'll know more tomorrow, gang, so don't miss the next thrilling episode in this exciting story of mystery and intrigue. Be sure to tune in again tomorrow. Same time, same station.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound.
Look, up in the sky. It's a bird.
It's a plane.
It's Superman.
Kellogg's Pep. P-E-P, Pep. Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal, presents
The Adventures of Superman. Today, Clark Kent and Lois Lane wait anxiously for the recovery of Abner Sykes, fully realizing that the old telegrapher possesses the only key to Freeville's mysterious and devastating drought. And now, the adventures of Superman. Incredible as it seemed, Clark Kent, who as we know is Superman, was unable to down to the suspicion that Uncle Ed Clayton, rabble-rousing ex-governor and senatorial candidate, was somehow responsible for the prolonged drought in the Freeville area, where 300 war veterans who strongly opposed Uncle Ed's un-American tactics had taken homesteads. After a thorough search of the area failed to verify his suspicions, however, Superman was about to admit he had been mistaken when he spotted a fire in a patch of woods on a distant mountain slope. Streaking there, he found a small cabin ablaze, and in the cabin the unconscious figure of old Abner Sykes, the local telegrapher who had recently disappeared. As we continue now in a restaurant many miles away, Lois Lane has been called to the telephone. Listen.
Hello?
That you, Lois?
Yes, Clark?
That's right. Listen.
Look, Clark, I thought you were coming right back. Where are you?
About 80 or 90 miles away.
80 or 90 miles away?
Yes, in the mountains.
Clark, what are you talking about? How could you be that far away? You only left here a half an hour ago.
Oh, look, Lois, will you please stop interrupting? This is important.
But how... Oh, all right. What is it, Clark?
Now, get this. The municipal building, which is across the street from where you are, should be deserted by now.
Yes?
Also, it'll be dark out in front.
Well, what of it?
If you'll walk across the street, a friend of ours will pick you up and bring you out here.
What friend will bring me where?
Will you please stop asking questions and do as you're told? We haven't any time to lose.
You're certainly being mysterious, I must say. I don't see what...
Lois, why don't you cooperate for once?
All right. I'll pay my dinner check immediately and go across the street. And there, a little man with a long white beard and a magic carpet will be waiting for me, I suppose, right?
Well, you're pretty close, but...
What?
Get going, Lois. I'll see you later. So long.
So long. Trust Clark Kent to be mysterious. And all the time, I'm sure he's just building atmosphere so he can keep me waiting out here for an hour and then show up with some cock and bull story about how...
Hope I didn't keep you waiting long, Miss Lane.
Superman!
That's right. You ready to take a little ride with me?
Ride? With you?
Uh-huh.
Why, certain... wait a minute.
What?
Are you the friend Clark Kent said would call for me?
Yes. Now, if you're ready...
Where is Clark?
Well...
And since when are you running a taxi service for him?
Look, Miss Lane, I'm afraid some people across the street have spotted me, and that means there'll be a crowd around us in a moment. So if you're ready, let's get going.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, of course I'm ready.
All right, up with you then. There. Now, up and away! You all right, Miss Lane?
Oh, yes. Regular airplanes are going to seem pretty tame after this.
And I take it you like Kent's taxi service.
Yes. Say, that reminds me.
What?
What are you doing here? And where is Clark? And how did he...
One question at a time, Miss Lane. It just happens that the story you and Kent are working on interests me.
Oh, you mean the story about...
Uncle Ed Clayton's attempt to rule this state as a tyrannical demagogue and to promote anti-racial hate makes him a menace to America and to everything America stands for.
It certainly does. But look, about Clark. Apparently you were just in contact with him. What's he
I just
doing?
made a little discovery, and I'm leaving Kent and you to follow it through.
Really? What is it?
You'll see for yourself in a moment. Hang on. Here we go down to those woods. Down! There we are, Miss Lane.
Yes, but where are we?
See that little cabin, or the charred remains of a cabin just up the hill there?
Oh, yes.
Well, go on up. You'll find Clark Kent in there and a surprise.
A surprise?
Yes, I'll see you later.
But wait a minute, Superman.
Kent will explain everything. Goodbye, Miss Lane. Up and away!
Rocketing up from the little clearing, Superman disappears like a bolt into the sky. But unknown to Lois Lane, who hurries up the narrow, winding path to the half-burned little cabin clinging to the side of the wooded mountain, the Man of Steel has plummeted to Earth on the other side of the cabin. There, swiftly resuming his guise and garb of Clark Kent, he slips around to the door just as Lois arrives, somewhat out of breath.
Oh, there you are, Clark.
Hello, Lois.
What's going on here? What is this
Come
all
inside.
about?
Got a surprise for you.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Superman said he discovered something. Is that it?
You bet. Watch where you step, Lois. We've had a little fire here, as you can see.
A little fire? There's practically nothing left of this cabin. Now listen,
Wait a
Clark.
Look.
Who's that man lying on the couch?
Whom does it look like?
Why, it's Abner Sykes.
That's right.
But where did you find
How are you
him?
feeling now, Mr. Sykes?
Oh, might better.
Good.
Look, how did you
That
find...
Superman feller get my condenser?
Yes, he got it.
Now, wait a minute.
Okay, I'll set up the receiver then and... Oh! Nope, can't make it yet. Too weak.
Well, you'd better rest a while. You had a bad time.
Look, Clark, I wish you'd tell me
What time is it?
It's, just 10 minutes of 8 in the evening.
Yes, and time you told me
Got
what...
a few minutes left to get my strength back then. Signals don't usually come in 4-8.
Tell me more about these signals, Mr.
What in
Sykes.
heaven's name are you talking about? And what are you doing here, Mr. Sykes? And why
Hold
didn't
on,
you...
Miss Lane. Don't nobody talk to me till I get my strength back.
No, but listen.
Won't say nothing.
Better be quiet, Lois. Just relax for a few minutes.
Relax. Good heavens. Of all the maddening people I ever saw. Clark, you've got to tell me. What is all this? What is Mr. Sykes doing in these mountains in a burned-out cabin?
Hiding out, for one thing, Lois.
But
And
why? And why did he leave Freeville so suddenly the other day?
for the reason that you figured. He was afraid the same man or men who shot at him would try again.
You mean Uncle Ed Clayton's men?
I think so. That right, Mr. Sykes?
Ain't ready to talk yet.
Well, go on, Clark. You tell me. Why did Clayton's men try to shoot him?
Because Mr. Sykes knows something. Something he was going to tell us. And unless I'm very much mistaken, it has something to do with the drought in Freeville.
What do you mean?
Well, that's what I want Mr. Sykes to tell us.
Oh, well, listen, Mr. Sykes.
Quiet. Ain't talking yet.
Oh, for the love of Mike, how long does
Easy,
this
Lois.
go?
Wait a minute now. He did have a pretty rough time. You see, somebody hit him on the head a little while ago, knocked him unconscious, and then set this cabin on fire.
Good heavens. Then how did you find...
Well, I mean, Superman got here just in time to save him and save what's left of this cabin.
And he saved my shortwave receiver. That's the important thing.
Oh? Are you ready to talk now?
Yep.
Well, who struck you and set the cabin on fire?
The scientist feller and another one.
Who?
What scientist fellow?
Same one I went to see yesterday about them signals I've been picking up. Feller who works for the county.
What signals are you talking about, and why did you
Should have
go...
knowed better than to go to him when Uncle Ed gives out all the jobs in this county.
You mean Mr. Clayton was responsible for this last attack on you, too?
Yep.
But why, Mr. Sykes? Just what is this all about?
Dry spell in Freeville.
I knew it. All right, keep talking, Mr. Sykes. What about the dry spell?
Well, listen, I'm dead wrong, and I'm pretty sure I ain't now, count of what happened to me. That dry spell ain't a natural one. It's being caused by some mechanical means.
Now we're getting someplace. Keep talking, Mr. Sykes.
His eyes gleaming, Clark Kent orders old Abner Sykes to continue talking, while Lois Lane sits by, a look of shocked amazement on her face. What does the old telegrapher mean? We'll know more in a moment when we return for the tense climax of today's episode. So stand by. In his little half-burned cabin in the mountains, old Abner Sykes has just startled Clark Kent and Lois Lane by saying,
Listen, I'm dead wrong, and I'm pretty sure I ain't now, count of what happened to me. That dry spell in Freeville ain't a natural one. It's being caused by some mechanical means.
What?
That's what I thought. Now can you tell us who's doing it, Mr. Sykes?
Well, way I got it lined up, Mr. Kent, it's being caused by Uncle Ed Clayton.
Clayton?
To bust them war veterans off their homesteads and drive them out of the state.
Oh, nonsense. That's what Clark's been saying, but it's too silly for words.
No, it isn't, Lois. I told you.
Of course it is. How could Uncle Ed Clayton or any other human being cause a drought?
Oh, I don't know. Do you, Mr. Sykes?
Don't exactly know how yet, but I can prove Uncle Ed's doing it.
How?
You'll see. What time's it now?
It's just 2 minutes to 8.
Oh, well, just 2 minutes to go now, then. So I gotta work fast. Where's the condenser that Superman feller brought, eh?
I've already installed it in your shortwave set.
Okay, then. Here goes.
Here goes what?
You'll hear in a minute, Miss Lane.
Oh, now, look, Clark, I do think this is a lot of nonsense.
Quiet, Lois.
But, Clark,
Please,
nobody...
Lois, be quiet for just a minute. Well, Mr. Sykes?
Won't be long now, Mr. Kent. Them signals should be coming in any second.
What signals?
You'll see.
Oh, sure, we'll see. If you ask me, I think
Lois,
this is all...
please.
Oh, all right.
Get ready, Mr. Kent. Here she comes.
Tensely, Clark Kent and old Abner Sykes lean closer to the shortwave receiver. And despite her skepticism, Lois Lane leans forward, too. What are they about to hear? Can it be possible that Clark Kent's suspicions were correct, and that Uncle Ed Clayton, the rabble-rousing demagogue, is able to defy the forces of nature and cause a man-made drought? Tomorrow's episode is swift and exciting, so don't miss it. Tune in, same time, same station.
And remember, for breakfast, it's Kellogg's Pep.
For excitement, the adventures of Superman.
Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC comic magazines and is brought to you Monday through Friday at this same time by Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound.
Look, up in the sky. It's a bird.
It's a plane.
It's Superman.
Kellogg's Pep. P-E-P, Pep. Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal, presents
The Adventures of Superman. Today, while Superman, with the help of Abner Sykes, comes close to a solution of the mystery, Freeville's murderous bigots make plans to stop him at any cost. And now, the adventures of Superman. Working on a hunch, Clark Kent has set out to prove that Uncle Ed Clayton, the rabble-rousing ex-governor who is now a candidate for the Senate, is somehow responsible for the unnatural drought that threatens the existence of several hundred war veteran homesteaders. As Superman, he saved the life of old Abner Sykes, the aged Freeville telegrapher, who, because he knows too much, had been struck on the head and left unconscious in a burning cabin in the mountains. Sykes blamed the attack on men connected with Uncle Ed Clayton and confirmed Kent's hunch when he said,
Now I'm sure Uncle Ed's causing this drought, and I'll prove it.
As we continue, in the half-burned little mountain cabin, Abner Sykes has turned on his shortwave radio receiver. To his companions, Clark Kent and Lois Lane, the elderly telegrapher explains.
Well, it's just 8 o'clock. In a minute, you'll be hearing them signals.
What signals?
Radio signals I pick up every night at this time. That is, when there's been rain predicted for Freeville.
So what? I don't understand what that has to do...
Just you listen, Miss Lane. Now, here they come.
Well, I don't hear anything except a lot of static.
Don't you hear that? Dit-dat?
Yes,
Is that the signal you were talking about?
Nope. That there's the code from the sending station, Mr. Kent. The signals follow right after.
Oh, I see.
They'll be coming through now.
Say, what's happening?
Yeah, reception's petering out, that's what. Don't you hear?
Why, yes,
What's the matter?
I don't know. Never done that before. Hey, something's wrong. Where's my screwdriver?
Oh, now look, Clark. Fun's fun. But after all, when two grown men actually believe that another man, a human being, can cause a drought, that's too much.
I know it seems cockeyed, Lois, but I tell you that
What you tell me makes no more sense than what Uncle Ed tells the superstitious backwoods people, that the drought was sent by heaven to punish the war veterans because some of their parents were born in a foreign country.
It isn't the same thing at all, Lois. This is a scientific possibility.
Yeah, you ain't so smart as I thought you was, Mr. Kent.
Why? What do you mean?
Well, you put this condenser in wrong, that's why.
Oh?
Oh, bright boy.
That's why we lost the code. Yeah, have it fixed in a jiffy, though.
Sorry I messed it up. Does that mean we'll lose those signals you were talking about?
Nope. They usually last an hour or two.
An hour or two?
That long?
Yep, sometimes 3-4 hours. There. That ought to do it.
I hope so.
Yeah, turn around again and see.
I don't hear the code, Mr. Sykes.
Nope, nor the signals either. They don't understand it.
I believe this is where we came in, Jim.
Now, wait. I got an idea. XC3, HJ4. XC3, HJ4. Come in, Doc.
Oh, now that's the first bit of sense I've heard here this evening. You boys need a doctor, all right.
Oh, Lois.
Sorry.
XC3 to HJ4. XC3 to HJ4. Come in, Doc.
Whom are you calling, Mr. Sykes?
Another radio ham. Gives over to Rollins. I want to ask him...
XJ4 to XC3. Evening, Abner.
Oh, there he is. Evening, Doc. Listen, you been getting them funny signals tonight?
Yes, I have, Abner. Came in promptly about 8 as usual. Did you get 'em?
Nope. There was something wrong with my condenser. Hey, you hear anything to account for their not being on now?
Well, the last direction said something about 30 miles. I've noticed that there's usually a break when they say more than a few miles.
What is this?
Yep, that must be it then. You're much obliged, Doc. Good night.
Good night, Abner.
Look, Mr. Sykes, just what is all this double talk
Now,
about?
wait, Mr. Kent. Them signals will be on any minute again. You just be patient.
In just a minute, I'm going to be fresh out of patience, because I still can't believe that these signals, or whatever they are, have anything to do with Uncle Ed causing a drought.
Oh, is that so? Then how come when I told that feller in the county agricultural office about them signals and told him I figured they had something to do with the drought, he followed me back here and tried to kill me, hey?
He did?
Yep, he did. And I figure it's because he owes his job to Uncle Ed Clayton, just like everybody else in the county office does. So he hot-footed it to Uncle Ed with what I said, and Ed told him to get me. Hey, what do you think now, eh?
I think that's a long jump to an even longer conclusion.
Maybe not, Lois.
Oh, now look, Clark. I realize that Uncle Ed is a demagogue, the most vicious sort of hate-monger and rabble-rouser. But to think that he or any other mortal can stop rain from falling...
Wait a minute, Lois, wait a minute. Isn't that the code coming through again, Mr. Sykes?
Yep, it is. Sit tight, 'cause now you're really gonna hear something.
Tensely, Clark Kent and old Abner Sykes leaned toward the shortwave loudspeaker, waiting for what the old man called the signals to come through. But meanwhile, in what he refers to as his simple little place, but which is in reality a magnificent colonial mansion set in broad acres overlooking a river, Uncle Ed Clayton sits in his library with Fred Leonard, editor of the Freeville Gazette.
Trouble with you, Fred, is that you're a worrier.
Maybe, but
What if that Jerry Barton fella and the newspaper gal did get away? Why, they can't hurt us none.
I'm not so sure, Mr. Clayton. They heard you make that speech at the rally today, you know.
So what? They can't prove nothing. Not even that I had anything to do with the boys leading them into that quicksand bog. Anyhow, all I care about is that no-count Abner Sykes being taken care of. You are sure he was taken care of, ain't you, Fred?
Well, Clarkson says so, Mr. Clayton. You can depend on him.
Well, then, like I say, there ain't nothing to worry about. Why, them war veterans will be busted and pulling up stakes in another couple of weeks, and then we'll have things all our own way again, just the way we always did.
I hope you're right.
I know I am. And besides... wait till I answer the phone. Ed Clayton speaking. Oh? Oh, yes, Homer. Huh? What's that? Give me that again.
What's the matter?
Just a minute, Fred. You sure about that, Homer? He did, huh? Okay. Good thing you called me. Right, bye.
What is it, Mr. Clayton?
What is it? Well, just you listen to this. That old coot Abner Sykes ain't no more dead than we are.
What?
That's right, son. Homer just heard him talk on his shortwave radio transmitter.
But that's impossible. Clarkson said...
Clarkson lied, consign him, and he'll pay for this. But that don't matter right now. Them two Daily Planet reporters, Clark Kent and Miss Lane, are still around, and they're friendly with Ab Sykes.
I know they are.
So what you gotta do, Fred, is personally see to it that old Abner don't tell him what he knows. Understand?
You mean you want me to...
I mean you gotta take care of Ab Sykes yourself, tonight.
But, Governor,
Don't give me no buts, son. Abner's out to that cabin of his right now. Now, you get in your car with Hank and drive out there lickety-split. And when you get there, well, you know what to do.
I know what to do, Mr. Clayton.
Good. And just in case them Daily Planet reporters is out there with Abner, well, just make sure they stay there. Forever.
What will happen at the little cabin in the mountains when the murder-bent Fred Leonard meets with our friends? We'll be back in a moment with the tense climax of today's episode. So stand by. In Abner Sykes' little mountain cabin, the old telegrapher and Clark Kent are listening tensely to voices issuing from the loudspeaker of the shortwave radio. Even Lois Lane, who has been skeptical, is interested.
Hey, listen, Mr. Kent. I think them signals about to commence again.
I'm listening.
About 6 miles south-southwest of K, over.
You hear that?
6 miles south-southwest of K, over.
6 miles southwest.
What does that mean, Clark?
Not quite sure, Lois, but I think...
And sharp 3 miles north, and watch drifting just off east, over.
3 miles north, then drifting east. Any more? Over.
Quiet, Lois, please.
That's all for now. Check from pass, over and out.
Right. We'll check further for pass. Over and out.
What gibberish.
K-R... Pass. I wonder...
Well, might as well turn it off. Won't be no more signals for a while.
You wonder what, Clark?
About all those peculiar directions. Tell me, Mr. Sykes, do you know of any, towns or mountains or something in this section which begin with K and R?
K and R?
Uh-huh.
I know there's a Rawlings, Clark.
Say, that's right. It's not far from Freeville.
Yep, and there's a Kennicott Junction, about 30 miles north of here.
Good. And pass. That might refer to a mountain pass.
Might be Good Time Pass, top of Mount Peel.
Good. I think I've got the answer.
Really? What is it?
No time to explain now. I gotta move fast. You two stay here.
Where are you going, Clark?
Got a little job to do. I won't be long. You wait here.
Hurrying from the little cabin, Clark Kent stops in the darkness and swiftly resumes his true identity of Superman. Then...
If I'm right, I'll have the answer to the drought tonight. Up! Up! And away!
Leaping up from the dark mountain slope, Superman rockets away through the starlit sky. And in his haste, he does not look backward to the half-hidden rutted road climbing to Abner Sykes' cabin, on which, at this moment, a car containing 2 armed men is toiling up the slope. Uncle Ed, the demagogue, has ordered Fred Leonard to do away with old Abner tonight, and to do likewise to any Daily Planet reporter found with him. What will happen to old Abner and to Lois Lane as Superman streaks farther and farther away? And what will the Man of Steel discover on his meteoric flight? Monday's suspenseful climax is full of thrills and surprises, fellows and girls, so don't fail to be with us. Tune in Monday, same time, same station.
And remember, for breakfast, it's Kellogg's Pep.
For excitement, the adventures of Superman.
Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC comic magazines and is brought to you Monday through Friday at this same time by Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound.
Look, up in the sky. It's a bird.
It's a plane.
It's Superman.
Kellogg's Pep. P-E-P, Pep. Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal, presents
The Adventures of Superman. Today, as Superman uncovers the key to the plot behind Freeville's drought, he is unaware that Lois Lane and Abner Sykes are face to face with death. And now, the adventures of Superman. Incredible as it seems to Lois, Clark Kent suspects that Uncle Ed Clayton, political hate-monger and candidate for the Senate, is somehow responsible for the prolonged drought in the Freeville area.
an unusual and disastrous drought which is bankrupting hundreds of war veteran farmers. As Superman, Kent saved the life of Abner Sykes, the elderly telegrapher who had been attacked by Uncle Ed's henchmen and left to die in his burning mountain cabin. Then old Abner told Kent and Lois Lane of what he called strange signals that he picked up on his shortwave radio. And when Kent, too, heard the mysterious signals, he left to investigate as Superman. Meanwhile, learning that old Abner was still alive, Uncle Ed sent 2 men to do away with him. And as we continue now, the men have stopped their car at the foot of a narrow, rutted mountain road, at the crest of which, silhouetted against a pale moon, is the half-burned little cabin in which Lois and Abner Sykes await the return of Kent. Listen.
Okay, Hank. Get out.
What's the idea, Fred? Why don't we drive right up to the cabin?
Because we're playing it safe. Come on now, get out.
I don't get it, Fred. Ain't nothing to this job. Ain't nobody but that old coot Abner Sykes up to the cabin.
Can't tell. Those reporters might be with him.
What reporters?
Those 2 from Metropolis. Clark Kent and the Lane girl.
Oh, them. Well, if they are there, we'll take care of them, too.
Right. Don't walk so far out on the road. Moon shining down on it. They might look down from the cabin and see us.
Not much chance of that. Ain't much moon.
We're not taking any chances. This job was messed up once today. Uncle Ed won't like it if it's messed up again.
It won't be. Not with me on the job.
That's what you said this afternoon. When you were going to get rid of the Lane girl and that war veteran, Jerry Bartlett.
I know. Look, I can't figure that out, Fred. Why, Charlie and me walked them almost up to the quicksand bog and made them keep going. I just can't figure out how they come to be still alive.
They must have messed it up somehow. That's why Uncle Ed told me to handle this business tonight. Hold it, Hank.
What's the matter?
Somebody just opened the door of the cabin. You see?
Yeah. Hey, it's a gal.
Uh-huh. Can't be sure from here, but I think it's that reporter.
It is, huh? Well, just step out of the way, Fred. I'll take care of her right now.
Put your rifle down, you fool.
Why? I can't miss her from here.
Put the gun down, I said. You want to warn old Abner and maybe that other reporter, Kent, that we're here?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I guess you're right.
I know I am. Don't move now. She's looking around.
Maybe she heard the car pull up.
No, I don't think so. She went back in the cabin. Come on, Hank.
Okay.
But watch your step. I don't want them to hear us until we open the cabin door and walk in.
Proceeding with caution, the would-be assassins approach closer and closer to the tiny cabin where Lois Lane and Abner Sykes await the return of Clark Kent. But meanwhile, having searched over Rawlings and Kennecott Junction, the 2 locations identified in the mysterious shortwave radio signals, Kent, as Superman, is now stationed in a rugged, windy pass atop Mount Peel, the loftiest range in the area, about 60 miles from Abner Sykes' cabin.
Well, this is the 3rd location mentioned in that mysterious code. I've been here 15 minutes, but I haven't seen a thing yet. Maybe Sykes and I misinterpreted those radio signals. Well, unless something happens soon, I'll have to give up and go... Wait a minute, what's that? Sounds like a plane. Yes, I was pretty sure a plane was mixed up in this. Now, where? I can hear it, but I can't see it. That's strange. It's coming closer. Tell by the sound. I still can't see it. Wait a minute. I think I see it now. Yes, dead ahead and flying high. A small cabin job, camouflaged. Well, this is very interesting. I want a better look at that plane. Up and away!
Leaping high from the mountain pass, Superman streaks toward the small camouflaged cabin plane which cruises through the dark sky. Then, checking his meteoric flight above the plane, the Man of Steel hovers closely above it, unseen, his keen eyes probing the hull of the ship to observe the 2 men in the cabin, his amazingly acute hearing attuned to their conversation.
Where's the next one, Emery?
Should be dead ahead, in line with the pass, if those last directions were accurate.
Well, they haven't been wrong yet.
No. There it is. A little above and off to the left. See it, Carson?
Yeah, I see it. Get ready.
All set.
Okay, here we go then.
Now, where are they going? I don't see... Uh-oh, think I get it. Well, I guess I'll just follow them for a while. Away! They dove right into this cloud. Something's dropping from the plane.
Little pellets. Can't tell what they are, but I've got a hunch. Oh, there they go out of the cloud. I'd better listen into their conversation again. Away!
How are we doing, Emery? Oh, it ain't gonna rain no more, no more. Over Freeville, that is.
That's what you think, brother.
There's plenty of rain up here, huh? You said it. Plenty.
Yes, it is raining right behind us. Well, this confirms my suspicions because I had a hunch they were doing it this way. Just to make sure, I'll watch and wait for a double check.
What's next from old Uncle Ed's boy, son?
Uncle Ed, eh?
Let's see. Here we are. About 3 miles due east. 3 miles due east. Right. Here we go.
3 miles due east. Oh, yes, I see it. Now I'll confirm my hunch about their method of operation.
There it is, Em. A nice big one. Those homesteaders could sure use that. Yeah, but they'll never get a chance to. Get ready to take her down. Okay.
No, I think not, boys. I've seen enough. Now I think I'll join you. Down to that plane. Down!
Emery, look! Right, your holster man. What?
Permit me to introduce myself, gentlemen. My name is Superman.
What? Superman?
Correct. At the moment, the protector of rain-bearing clouds. I wouldn't go for that pistol if I were you, Mr. Emery. That's the good little man. Hand it over. Thank you. Take her down, Mr. Carson. I said take her down, please. No, not up into that rain cloud. As you pointed out a moment ago, the war veterans in Freeville will be glad to see it. And this time they're going to get it. Because from now on, Uncle Ed's man-made drought is ended.
Now look here.
Very clever of you to make the clouds spill their moisture before reaching Freeville.
Look, we didn't mean any harm, Superman. That's right. You see,
Meant no harm. I suppose your ingenious method of creating a drought, your attempt to ruin several hundred war veterans who fought for their country, is your idea of a joke, eh?
No, you don't understand.
I understand everything, my whining friends. Take this plane down. No, wait a minute. On second thought, head for Abner Sykes' cabin. I believe you know where that is, Carson.
Who, me? Why, no,
Stop lying. I know you tried to murder old Abner today.
No, I didn't.
Head for the cabin, I said. We'll let Mr. Sykes and Miss Lane be in on the last act of this dirty little play. Now go on. Open it up and make time.
Grimly, Superman directs the two trembling henchmen of Uncle Ed Clayton toward Abner Sykes' little cabin, 50 miles away, where, at this moment, Lois Lane and the elderly telegrapher are in deadly peril. Stand by for the tense climax of today's episode. In Abner Sykes' little cabin, Lois Lane has begun to be worried over the absence of Clark Kent. Returning from the door, she says to the old telegrapher,
I'm worried, Mr. Sykes. I can't understand where Clark is.
The way I sized Mr. Kent up, he's a mighty smart young fella, Miss Lane. You don't have to worry none about him.
But how could he investigate those radio signals at night and in these mountains?
I don't know, but like I say, I reckon he's smart enough to look out for himself.
Well, maybe. But just the same, I can't help being worried. And if he doesn't come back right away, I'm going out to look for him.
Who's
oh,
that?
Must be Clark now.
No, Miss Lane, it isn't Kent at all.
Wait, hey, what in tarnation?
Good heavens.
Put your hands up, Abner.
Mr. Leonard.
Yep, and Uncle Ed's no-count man, Charlie. Now, look here, you two.
Shut up, Abner.
What do you two want? Why are you pointing those guns at us?
Can't you guess, Miss Lane?
Why, no.
Well, this is really the end of the trail for you, Miss Lane. And for Abner Sykes, too.
Oh, no.
Get set to let him have it, Hank.
Her face drained of color, Lois Lane looks at the rifles in the hands of Fred Leonard and Hank. Rifles that are pointed steadily at her and Abner Sykes. Superman, hardly 50 miles away, could cover the distance to the cabin with the speed of light. But at present, unaware of his friend's peril, the Man of Steel is in a plane, which will require several minutes to reach the little mountain cabin. So what will happen to Lois and old Abner? We'll find that out tomorrow, gang, as well as just what is the secret method of preventing rainfall discovered by Superman. So don't fail to be with us then. Tune in tomorrow, same time, same station.
And remember, for breakfast, it's Kellogg's Pep.
For excitement, the adventures of Superman.
Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC comic magazines and is brought to you Monday through Friday at this same time by Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound.
Look, up in the sky. It's a bird.
It's a plane.
It's Superman.
Kellogg's Pep. P-E-P, Pep. Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal, presents
The Adventures of Superman. Today, as Superman exposes the bigoted Ed Clayton and saves Freeville from inevitable deterioration, alarming news awaits his return to Metropolis. And now, the adventures of Superman. Superman's belief that the drought in the Freeville area was mechanically induced in order to ruin a community of farmer war veterans was startlingly substantiated when the Man of Steel intercepted a camouflaged cabin plane which was performing strange gyrations in the sky. Then, from the occupants of the plane, he learned the mystery of the drought and the fact that Uncle Ed Clayton, hate-mongering senatorial candidate, was behind it. But at the same time, unknown to Superman, Lois Lane and Abner Sykes, who were waiting for him in the old telegrapher's mountain cabin, were in grave danger from two of Uncle Ed's henchmen. And as we continue now, Superman is in the camouflaged plane with the two captured pilots, heading toward the cabin some 40 miles away. Suddenly, topping a tall ridge, the Man of Steel's X-ray vision pierces the dark miles ahead and reveals a shocking scene. Listen.
Great Scott. Two men aiming rifles at Lois and Mr. Sykes. Out and away!
Thrusting open the cabin door, Superman leaps from the plane, leaving the two pilots to stare after him open-mouthed as he flashes through the starry sky like a meteor whirled from its orbit. With the speed of light, the figure in red and blue rushes down upon the tiny cabin, where at that instant, facing the guns in the hands of Ed Clayton's henchmen, Lois Lane gasps.
No, don't shoot.
Don't waste your breath, Miss Lane. Them fellers work for Ed Clayton. He won't stop at nothing, not even murder.
You're right, Abner. Uncle Ed's word is law in this here state, and he says you and this newspaper gal dies. So here it comes.
You mean here I come?
Why, glory be.
Up with those guns!
Seizing the rifles of the would-be assassins, Superman thrusts them upward, even as they squeeze the triggers and the deadly leaden pellets scream up through the burned cabin roof. Then, not pausing, Superman seizes the pop-eyed gunmen by the scruffs of their necks, wraps their heads sharply together, and as they fall unconscious, he turns to Lois and Sykes.
I'm going to take these two characters with me. You, Miss Lane, and Mr. Sykes take their car and drive to State Police Headquarters at the county seat. Clark Kent will be waiting for you there.
But, Superman...
Up and away! Now I must pick up that plane again because the evidence I need is in it. Oh, great Scott, where is... Uh-oh, there it is. And the pilot's making a desperate attempt to get away. Well, I'm sorry, my friends. But you're coming back with me to face the music. Away!
Zooming down on the fleeing plane, Superman dumps the two unconscious would-be assassins in with the now panicky flyers. Then, grasping the plane's landing gear, he propels the aircraft with the speed of light toward the county airport. And a few minutes later, he delivers all four of Clayton's men to the state police. Meanwhile, in the sumptuous library of his palatial mansion on the river, Clayton is listening to startling news on his telephone.
What? Raining? In Freeville? Why, that can't be. I can't understand it. Heck, you don't have to tell me the rain will save them veterans. I know that too well. Yeah. Hey, you darn tootin', I'll see about it. And right this minute. Something went wrong, but I'm gonna...
I'm afraid you won't do anything about it, Mr. Clayton.
What? Look, I'll call you back later, Homer. Bye. Well, if it ain't my old friend, Mr. Kent. Mighty nice of you to drop in on me, sir.
I don't think you'll feel the same way about that when you hear why.
Well, if it isn't Miss Lane and my old friend Major Renshaw of the state police.
Hello, Mr. Clayton. We've come here to...
Why, nothing makes me so happy as to have my good friends around me. You know, that's one of the blessings of these fine old United States. A man can get together with his friends in peace and freedom.
You can skip the flag waving, Clayton.
Yes, Mr. Clayton. You can let your hair down now.
You sure are amusing people. Yes, sirree. Why, let me offer you some refreshments. You know, nothing elaborate, you understand. I'm a poor, simple man, but
brother,
I'll be
estate.
proud to serve you what I can.
Wait a minute.
Stay where you are, Mr. Clayton. We've got something to say to you.
Oh, you have?
Yes. For one thing, we wanted to tell you that it's raining in Freeville.
Oh, is that so? Hell, that's fine. Yes, wonderful.
What?
You know, I've been worrying about them poor homestead and war veterans being busted by the drought.
And is that why you caused the drought, Mr. Clayton?
I caused the drought? Well, that's a good joke, son.
Really? Well, we don't think it's so funny.
We certainly don't.
You see, Mr. Clayton, we know all about your so clever plan. We learned about it from your two plane pilots, Carson and Emery. They confessed everything.
Confess, you say?
That's right.
Yes, they admitted they'd been hired by you to fly into the rain clouds before the clouds reached the Freeville area. Then, also at your orders, they dropped dry ice, which resulted in saturating the moisture-laden clouds to a point where they released their rain at once, and always on the other side of the mountains.
Oh, now, you must know that's preposterous, son. Why, that's...
Oh, no, it isn't. I've just found out that the same thing was done as an experiment in upstate New York a few months ago. And that's where you must have gotten your idea.
Why, that's ridiculous, I say.
No use, Clayton. Your men confessed.
But
What's more, we located a shortwave radio shack at the edge of your own estate, where your man was in contact with an observer some distance away, and from which he radioed the direction of the approaching rain clouds to your pilots in the plane. Incidentally, your radio man and the observer have confessed, too.
Now, are you ready to come along with me quietly, Mr. Clayton?
Now, wait a minute, friends. Wait a minute. Why, this is obviously a plot against me. Yes, sir. My enemies are trying to do me in. My political enemies, that is.
Oh, come
now,
Mr.
why should I do a thing like this? Why should I cause a drought to injure the citizens of my own beloved state?
Your own beloved state. Don't make me laugh.
Why, Miss Lane,
Clayton,
why?
you did this deliberately to ruin the war veterans who'd settled on homesteads here. You wanted to bankrupt them and so drive them out of the state.
I didn't do no such thing, Kent. Why,
You feared them because you knew that men who had fought for America wouldn't stand for the kind of un-American government you'd set up when you were governor. A kind of government you now wanted to perpetuate as senator.
Why, how dare you call me un-American, sir? Why, I'll fight to the last drop of my blood for the grand old Constitution.
You would, eh? Well, the Constitution guarantees equal rights to every American, regardless of race or creed or color. But you've been trying to deprive the veterans of their simple right to make an honest living.
That ain't true.
It is true. I know because I heard you stir up the backwoods folks against the veterans by saying that the boys were foreigners because some of their parents were born abroad.
Now, you look here. You're making a big mistake.
Oh, no, I'm not, Mr. Clayton. I know
Don't waste your breath on him, Lois. He's licked now, stripped of all power in this state, and so is his party.
Oh, am I?
Right. And it's a safe bet you'll spend the rest of your life in jail. All right, come along, Clayton.
Oh, no, Major. I ain't a-going with you.
Don't be a fool, Clayton.
Don't move, any of you.
Look out, Major.
He's got a gun.
Yes, I have. I aim to use it, too.
Put that gun down, Clayton.
No, I ain't a-putting it down till I put a bullet in each one of you. 'Cause Uncle Ed Clayton ain't never going to no jail. No, sirree.
Listen to me. Be sensible, Clayton.
I'm done listening, Major. You're all done living. Yes, you and these two pesky reporters.
Wait, Clayton.
Don't move, Kenton. You either, Major. Now, permit me to say goodbye, brother Americans.
Moving back a step, Uncle Ed Clayton levels his pistol at Clark Kent, Lois Lane, and Major Renshaw. And as Kent hesitates, not knowing how to act without revealing himself as Superman, the man of hate's finger begins to squeeze the trigger. What will happen? We'll return in a moment to find out. So stand by. In the library of his mansion, Uncle Ed Clayton has leveled a pistol at Clark Kent, Lois Lane, and Major Renshaw of the state police. But just as Clayton is about to squeeze the trigger, Clark Kent goes into action. His foot, guided by muscles of steel, jerks backward, and the rug on which they all stand sweeps backward with him, spilling Ed Clayton, Major Renshaw, and Lois Lane in a sprawling heap. The pistol shot goes wildly into the wall. Then Clayton speaks no more as Kent, hurling himself forward, throws a smashing blow at the chin of the infuriated demagogue. A moment later, Ed Clayton, unconscious, is handcuffed by Renshaw.
Nice work, Kent.
It certainly was. Why, Clark, you were wonderful.
That from you, Lois?
Yes, from me. And I owe you an apology, too.
Oh, no, this is too much.
Everything you said about this story out here was right. But I sneered at you and
No, wait a minute. Stop, Lois. You're turning my head. Look, why don't you get on Clayton's phone and give this story to Perry White? I'm sure Major Renshaw will excuse us.
Why, sure. Go right ahead. You two have earned a scoop. Clayton will be quiet until the highway patrol car gets here to take him away.
Thanks, Major. Go ahead, Lois. Call the planet.
No, you call, Clark. After all, it is your story.
Now, I know I'm dreaming. Look, I tell you what. We'll split the byline.
Okay, it's a deal.
Right.
And thanks.
Wait till the chief gets a load of this story. It'll curl the few hairs he has left on his head.
That's the story, Chief. Major Renshaw's waiting for a patrol car to take Clayton to the calaboose now, and Lois and I going with him. What? You kidding?
What's up, Clark?
What do you mean I should come back and leave Lois here? What's the... What? When was this?
What, Clark?
Just a moment, Lois. Yes, I hear you, Chief. I see. Well, that does make a difference.
What makes a difference?
Right, I'll come back at once, Chief.
Clark.
Be there in a few minutes. I'll leave at once. Right. So long.
What is it, Clark?
You'll have to finish up the story down here alone, Lois. I've got to get back to Metropolis in a hurry.
But why? What happened?
No time to tell you. So long. See you later.
Rushing away from the surprised Lois Lane, Clark Kent leaves Ed Clayton's house by the rear door, strips off his business suit, and then, as Superman rockets up into the air, bound for Metropolis. What did Editor Perry White tell Kent that caused him to leave in such haste? What has happened in Metropolis? We can tell you this much, gang. Superman and you are in for the surprise of your lives tomorrow when the Man of Steel confronts one of the most baffling adventures of his entire career. So whatever you do, don't fail to hear tomorrow's episode. Tune in, same time, same station.
And remember, for breakfast, it's Kellogg's Pep.
For excitement, the adventures of Superman.
Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC comic magazines and is brought to you Monday through Friday at this same time by Kellogg's Pep, the Sunshine Cereal.